Now I'm going to this prison. I don't know what to expect. I'm in for this offence, which is kind of beyond what I can even imagine what's going to happen. This was the most that they can do to you in prison, you know what I mean? They started me off in 13, 14 months in solitary. You would have got hanged in the past. I got life and 12 years.
So what was life back then? 25?
Right, so no, they don't tell you.
They don't tell you?
They don't tell you, Once you kind of hit proper prison, you're like, you have to do the time as if you're never getting out anyway. You have to kind of do that. 6 o'clock, opened the door. They've just unlocked it and went ding, 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 all the way down. I wonder if he's made a mistake here. I'm thinking he's made a mistake. So after about a couple of minutes, I'm like, open the door, I'm looking at like this, you know. This helicopter's turned up, landed in the middle, bang in the middle. And we're walking around looking at this, what's going on? And these two guys have run to the helicopter, tried to open one door, couldn't open it, gone to the other door, in, fucking gone. Because of the fog, they didn't know where they were going, so he's had to kind of land in a industrial estate. So now, then they've started having to hijack cars. You drink that tea and you're up for 3 days. He's put like a gram of speed in it. You're like, mate, you know what I mean? I want the other one. I want to go to sleep. They've given me 2 life sentences, so I owe them 2 bodies. So he takes a knife out. He goes around looking for people. Yeah, he's got like this hit list, done his rounds. He's got this guy, yeah, he stabbed him to death. He's put him under the bed. He's come back down and he's gone, yeah, there's one under the bed. People, yeah, I think they just find a natural home in prison. You go out into the jungle, you know, if you find anybody, shoot them. Yeah, if they survive, question them, you know what I mean? So shoot first and ask questions later, literally, yeah. They thought he was one of the hostages, so they've kind of threw him out with the others, tried to take him back in to kill him, and the hostages stopped them, held on to him, stopped them from killing, serious, yes.
Why did the hostages stop him?
You know what, it's humanity. And maybe he wasn't one of the fucking worst one. I mean, they was there 6 odd days. You kind of get to know who's the bad.
Mo is back. Part 2, Murder of the Indian Diplomat. And we're also getting his book out. All the links are in the description box if you want to get his book. If you want to follow him on his socials, they're all down there. If you watch part 1, Mo has served over 20 years, most of it in Cat A prison, if you're in America, which is Supermax, double Cat A. Because of the nature of his crimes, it was classified as terrorism and Kashmir Liberation Army, is it, or Kashmir Liberation Front?
It was done under the kind of auspices of the Kashmir Liberation Army, which was kind of made up for that occasion.
Which sounds very heavy, but if you watched part 1, and I'm not trying to detract from the nature of the crime here, which was very heavy murder, but if you watch part 1, you'll see, you know, Mo was just a carefree student. He was going out to nightclubs, and what was that last gig you listened to? It was Dead or Wanted.
Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive.
Yeah, Pete Burns from Liverpool.
And he kind of got roped into a conspiracy to abduct an Indian diplomat because the Kashmiris wanted one of their guys released from death row in India. And anyway, the operation went sour. The diplomat ended up murdered. One of the conspirators was apprehended, and he gave the story up because Mo did have an alibi, which was going to hold under some pressure.
Yeah.
But because a co-conspirator gave the story up, this guy was told to leave the country. He never left the country. He was apprehended. Next thing, Mo gets apprehended by a bunch of 6.5-foot guys with beards who look like ZZ Top. Said they would look like the Taliban if they wasn't white.
Yeah.
So Mo has a very charming way of telling his story. And if you do want to come on the podcast, take notes, because I just like to sit here and listen to someone tell me their story.
Yeah.
Mo started he got us gripped with his prison story about Charles Bronson, which lasted for 38 minutes in part 1. Then we backtracked and went over Mo growing up, visiting Kashmir, his brothers, what he did with his brothers, and sadly one of your brothers is no longer with us.
He passed away last year.
Yeah, and what led to him, becoming a student, studying, happy-go-lucky, gets roped into this murder conspiracy, then does over 20 years. So where we left off was he's been arrested, and you're at one of the police stations.
Up the Swanee without a paddle, basically. Yeah, so we're in West Brom police station, and once they've got us to write statements, the other guys have written the statements. They put their statements in front of me, and
so how many of your co-conspirators have been apprehended at this point?
Right. So out of the ones that were, excuse me, the ones that were actually involved, what I said they were involved that I knew about. So there were 2 that were there. Yeah. So there were 3 of us that I would say were properly involved. And afterwards there were another 3. 2 of them were done for getting rid of evidence, destroying evidence. And one of them for providing a British visitor's passport to Qayyum to try and get away. He got a £500 fine. The other 2 got small sentences. So we're in, once the police have got their evidence, as far as they're concerned, now they're sweet with us, they don't want to batter us or anything like that. So I'm there, I think it was I can't remember what day they got me on. It was a Thursday morning or something like that, Wednesday night. And then Friday, I think they reminded us for further. And then on the 7th of March.
What year?
This was in 1984. 7th of March, I went for the first time to a prison. So this was in Birmingham. Yeah, and it's in the Winson Green area of Birmingham. And so they call it Winson Green Prison, but actually it's called HM Prison Birmingham. And this is like an old Victorian type prison, they built them back in the days, Bentham style, you've got the central kind of rotunda, and then you've got these spokes going off it so they can see it. And so for me, it's like it's the first time, and I'm like this, I've just for a week, I've just kind of got used to not being able to go out of a room when I want to. And now I'm going to this prison. I don't know what to expect. I'm in for this offense, which is kind of beyond what I can even imagine what's going to happen. So we go into the reception area, and they take our clothes and everything like that. They give us a pack of clothes and towel and stuff, and then you go into this big shower. It's like 12, 15 odd shower heads. So you're going in there. There's all these other people in there. You can imagine. So you go in one side, then you go out the other, and you put on your prison clothes. So everybody had to wear prison uniform in those days. Right? So on remand means so you've been remanded in custody. You haven't got bail. Yeah. So there's 2 types of prisoners in a Cat B local. Those who have been convicted, they wear the blues, and those who are on remand who are wearing the browns. So but basically it's just the top that's brown, And so anyway, so I go into the next place, which is like a big kind of a room, and they're giving us lunch, and so I've been a kind of Muslim all my life up until then. So I've never had bacon or anything like that. So I've had to kind of be a bit dodgy about food that I'm eating. I eat burgers and, I love McDonald's and stuff like that. But, when it comes to bacon and pork and stuff like that, you're like, whoa. So anyway, so they've gone, what diet are you on? And I'm on a vegetarian diet. So they've given me this bowl of food, which it was just all brown. There was some rice there that was brown. There was some stuff, stewy kind of stuff on it that was brown. The carrots were brown, the potatoes were, you know what I mean? And there was some stuff, and it looked like meat to me. And you know what I mean? I didn't know what it was, so I'm kind of like just poking it over to one side. And while I'm doing this, yeah, in this room, there's a group of guys who are like bikers, yeah, and you know, obviously long hair, long beards, and all of this, and they're picking on this one guy, yeah, and they're going like, yeah, make a noise like a sheep or something. They're going, bah, and they're going, make a noise, yeah, sound like a donkey, you know what I mean? And I'm like, mate. You know, what if they, you know, this is what I'm thinking. What if they fucking pick on me next? You know what I mean? What am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Yeah. Next thing you know, I just hear a shout. What's he doing here? Yeah, there's a fucking screw there. Yeah. Next thing you know, they're just all around me, 2 or 3 screws with a dog. Yeah, come here. What's he doing here? Yeah. What the fuck? And all of them like, who's that? You know what I mean? So then suddenly they've taken me away, took me up to this landing on D wing. So and on the 3's landing were all the category A's. So at this time, I don't know what's going on. It's just a place in a jail, yeah. So so on the 3's landing, D3, I was there for like 14 months. I did about 11 and a half months remand. Trial, and then about another couple of months before I got moved to another prison. So I get used to kind of like, what is this? My other 2 co-defendants are there also. And D-wing, D3, the 3's landing, so it had a hard floor, so there's 4 landings in all. So you've got the first 2, then you got the hard floor, and then you got the next 2. Now, after a while, once we've been there a little while, you kind of get to know what's going on, right? So on the ground floor, they've got all the ones that are kind of seriously mentally disturbed, yeah? And bear in mind, yeah, we've got St. Mary's when you look out of the window, you can see the wall to the side of the prison, and on the other side is St. Mary's, which is like a mental hospital or whatever, however you call it. You know, every time there's a full moon, their alarm used to go off, you know what I mean? So on the ground floor, we got these people, and, you know, mate Sean, they were making noises like animals sometimes, you know, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? You can't, you know, these aren't people that belong in prisons. On the second floor, so on the second, so you got the ground floor, you got the second one, you got the ones landing. Second landing, you've got the overspills from Brock Hill. And Brock Hill was a YP. So all of these are kind of kids, you know what I mean? You know, 16 to kind of 21, and they're in a man's prison. But they keep them, you know, like us, they kept us on D3, they keep them on D2. On D3, you've got the category A's, and on D4, you've got the nonces, you know, the sex offenders, yeah. So the sex offenders, they're the ones that are kind of like the screws, lackeys. So the screws, they're the ones. That landing was spotless. I swear you could eat your dinner off the floor. It was cleaner than the fucking trays, you know what I mean? Everywhere you went, it was spotless, you know what I mean? And all, because we're banged up 23 hours a day at that time, you know? And all you could hear was the screws, and then you could just scattering a little, you know, rat like.
So are you saying they give all the jobs to the sex offenders?
Well, no, because we were just locked up. There was nothing. Believe me, yeah? and you know, after I'd been there a little while, every now and then we'd get a prisoner that's kicked off in a dispersal or another type of prison, and they'd send him on a lie down on D3. So lie down, there's right. I have to go into a little bit of detail.
Please
here,
do.
right?
More detail the better.
So there's a standing order 1074. This is kind of something that you know, it was in standing order 10 in 1974. We just call it 1074, where the government had decided that this is what they're going to do with prisoners who do a certain thing. So 1074, they send you to another prison for 28 days. Yeah, we call it a lie down. So and then you go back to the prison that you came from, you know, if you've had a kick-off or whatever, and they're thinking, you know, sorry, we're not going to keep you down the block here. So, and there were two kind of lie downs when I went to Gartree. Afterwards, I found out there's one where they just send you to cool off. There's another one where they send you to get a kick in, yeah? So, Winson Green for Gartree, when I went to Gartree, Winson Green was just a cooling off place. But I met a couple of people who were on lie downs there, and, they were telling me about what, the prisons were like. And I couldn't really imagine it. I was asking him, but I couldn't really imagine it. Even this one, I couldn't imagine. So D3, the landing, one side of it is facing the fronts of HM Prison Birmingham. There's the Acorn pub there. And on the other side is facing the St. Mary's. And mostly we were on the side facing St. Mary's. There was a big area where the prisoners were sent out for exercise. So, there's a big kind of a square path, and then there's grass and, some bird bath kind of contraptions there. And but for us, the exercise was on the end of the landing. You went down this staircase, which was covered, like steel meshing, wire meshing. And then you went into this kind of 30-foot by 15-foot cage that you just went round and round in. And then they would, because at the most we would have something like, 10 prisoners. At the most on D3, there was something like about 14, 16 odd cells. And so they would send, 2 or 3 of us out at one time. That was the only time you kind of got to talk to anybody. The rest of the time, you're just in your cell. You've got a radio and a newspaper, and you've got access to a little library they've got on the floors. And once a week, they take you upstairs to the library. You get a little choice of books. So the cells were kind of differing sizes. The first cell was massive. It was probably bigger than my room at uni, yeah? The second and third one were really, really small, and their windows kind of went like that, so you could actually kind of see the guy, but they put a metal contraption in so you couldn't touch him, but then you could if you put your hand underneath. So much for that. It's just for show, isn't it? And then the rest of the cell were kind of like, a similar size. And once you've kind of settled in, every 2 weeks, every week, I think it was, they sent you for, they'd put you in a sterile cell, and then they'd come and search your cell. So you went out on exercise. When you came back, you're in the sterile cell. They search your cell for hours. And then in the afternoon sometime, when they're ready, they'll just put you back in there. Also, you're not in that cell for ages. After a couple of weeks, they'll just move you to another cell. So you're just moving all the time. So category A. So at first, what happens is my folks, so it's only my family that's visiting me. So I'm going, so they say to me, you have to get your people to apply, to be approved visitors, So how this works is they send an application into the prison send their details to the Home Office, the Home Office send it to the local police in the area where they live, the police go round to their house, check they are who they are, and then it goes all the way back. So the process takes about 6 weeks.
Is that for all prisoners at that point in time, or is that just for the Cat A?
That is just for the Cat A's. That is just for the Cat A's, So the rest of the prison, the visiting room was, I don't know where, I've never saw it. For us, the visiting room, so everything was around D-Wing. So D-Wing's here, so the visiting room's on this side. As you go into D-Wing, you go down the stairs again, and there's like a closed visits, right? So a closed visit is basically 2 rooms with an adjoining window, and then, the kind of holes where you can talk to either, they haven't got phones and stuff like that, So, but what they used to do for us is they'd just pack us into one small room, and the screw would sit by the door. So, it was small. You can imagine. It's only built for one person to be able to talk to somebody on the other side. So anyway, until we got my people got cleared, they let whoever, come and visit me. But like I say, it was my family. So I'm in Birmingham, my family's in Luton, it's 100 miles, and it's a 15-minute visit. So even though they can visit every day, practically it's once a week. And, when I think about, how far they went and, all of that, yeah, it was like a burden, you know what I mean? And then my mum would come and she'd be crying and I'd be like, mate, and after a bit I told her, I said, listen, mum, you can't do this, because, you go and then I'm going back and all I can see in my cell is your tears and it just drives me mad, And after that, she didn't cry.
I imagine you can't hug your visitor in
No,
Cat A.
you could. No, you could.
Can?
No, because, right, so I don't know what the criminal kind of fraternity visits are like, yeah? I can only say from my perspective what it was like. They pretty much let us kind of hug and stuff. I know, we would just, there weren't a table or something, anything like that. I mean, this was one half of a closed visits room. So we were all packed in chairs and, it was all right. And
in high security in America, you're behind plexiglass.
Yeah.
And you're chained to your chain and you're on a phone.
America is just like inhuman, you know what I mean? They just take everything that's human about you and put it to one side and go, right, it's like you're like an animal, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. So anyway, so that's what the visits were like. There was one time, one officer, and this guy, after a while, you kind of get to know some of them who want to talk to you. So this guy had been around the world. He spent time in Singapore, and he gave us 45 minutes one time.
Oh, wow.
So it was up to them, But if they were being twats, they just 15 minutes, right, your time's up, So
were the times when they wouldn't let them in because like dress code or anything?
Not in. It didn't happen in Winson Green. It didn't happen there. Has it ever happened? It has happened. I think it happened. Oh no, yeah, that was a different story. My little brother got caught with a bit of drugs on it. It was a spliff, yeah, literally, and his own. It wasn't even for me, you know what I mean? Oh mate, that was funny.
Oh.
But anyway, I was fuming. But what can you do when you captured? You captured, innit? You know what I mean? So about the prisons, yeah. So I'm in a Cat B local. Cat B locals are where you've just been arrested and you're on remand or you've just been convicted and you're waiting to go to a prison. So they decide, whether you're Cat A, Cat B, Cat C, whatever, and send you to that jail. So, most big cities have, Liverpool's got one, Manchester's got one, Leeds has got one, Armley, yeah. And but then there's 3 types of Cat B prisons. So there's a Cat B local, there's a Cat B training. That is where, if you're of a certain security, you go to that one. And there's Cat B dispersals. Yeah, Cat B dispersals is where the Category A prisoner, if you're Category A, that is where you go to do your time. They don't actually call it a Cat A prison, but it's part of something called the Category A estate. Yeah, so there was maybe about 9 odd prisons there, including a couple of like Wood Hill and Belmarsh that are part of the Category A estate. Yeah, so you've got Cat B dispersals, and then you got Cat C and Cat D. Obviously, low security, and that's that. So Cat A, and at that time I didn't know what that meant. Category A, they put you on Category A. So this is a security classification that if you have the resources to effect an escape and your escape is going to be a danger to the public, that is the reason for putting you on Category A. Yeah, so you've got people outside, or you've shown that you're determined enough to escape. Yeah. And that you're going around shooting. So, as far as they're concerned, we're terrorists, I mean, we've done this for somebody in an Indian jail, maybe somebody will do that for us here. So, and also at that time, I didn't realize there are kind of 3 levels of Category A. So there's Category A, there's high risk Category A, and there's exceptional risk Category A. Yeah.
Is that double A?
Yeah, so yeah, what we call A, double A, and triple A.
It's triple A.
Yeah, exceptional risk is triple A. But in the normal kind of, when I say normal, I mean dispersal. In a dispersal setting, anybody on normal location, you won't see a triple A there. There's only double A's. Triple A's are in a special secure unit.
Who would be in that then? Do you know any like?
Yeah. There was. Right, so I got done in 1984. towards the end of '84, there was the Brighton bombing.
So he was
Margaret
AAA.
Thatcher, he was AAA. The guy McGee and Kavanagh, I met both of them in Gartree afterwards. But yeah, they started off in AAA. And there was a mafia kind of a gangster. I was with his co-defendants. I can't remember his name offhand now. But his co-defendants, they were with us in Gartree. One was called Montileone, and one was called Frank Saracusa.
So these were Italian mafia?
They were Italian mafia, but yeah. But I think they were based in Canada. So they were over from there. They'd got involved in, I think, drug running or something like that, and got captured over here. And what was that guy's name? It'll come to me later on. But it was like a famous case at that time. But the head of that mob, yeah.
He was the head of it.
He was thingy. And there was the one, Harry Roberts, for example, he was AAA for years.
What did he do?
He killed 3 coppers in 1966, Harry. Yeah. And there's been quite a few of the category, the IRA guys who were in special secure units. There was quite a few cop killers who were in special secure units. And even special secure units, there's 2 types. You've got one, that's the SSU, the special secure unit, and then there's one, that's the SCS. So you've got one where people are genuinely dangerous and they kind of can escape and will go out and do mad things as far as they're concerned. And there are others who rear up in prison. So you got people like Bronson on the one hand, and you got, sort of like IRA. And there was Andy Russell, the guy who escaped from Gartree. No, he didn't escape, but he's the one who brought the helicopter. Yeah. Well, that story, that's a brilliant story, that one. So Andy, because when they caught him, they gave him a 10-year sentence, and he was in a special secure unit, and he almost escaped out of that as well. But that's another story, that one.
It's coming.
Yeah. So anyway, so you've got 3 levels of category A, and I didn't know at that time I'm a high-risk category, so I'm a double cat A. So we're on D3. I'm just trying to get into the groove of things. I'm getting the visits, kind of like my the life I've left behind. It's just like it's cut off now, isn't it? Yeah. But there's one or two. The one situation where a friend Salim, who we kind of grew up together. We were at Leicester together. And he'd come with a couple of my Leicester friends. This was before I was properly Cat A. And they came up and visited me and kind of took the piss out of my plastic boots, as you do, you know what I mean? Mm. And so, but then I got writing to this girl started writing to me who, she was at the university in Leicester, I was at the Poly. And we knew each other a little bit. And, that was kind of a good thing to kind of just take your mind out of the prison. And, you've been in solitary yourself. And at that time, I didn't know this was the most that they can do to you in prison. You know what I mean? They started me off in 13, 14 months in solitary. I'm by myself. All I've got is a newspaper, a book, and a radio. The radio's on all day. I've got Radio 1 most of the day, Radio 4 in the evening. And, I'm reading a book a day at that time. My eyes went, thing. And because what I noticed was your sight is kind of just restricted to kind of 7 or 8 foot. So everything, so the muscles aren't being exercised. And then they start atrophying a bit. And, after a while, I thought, hold on a minute. And then went to see the doctor. So there was only a few times I went off D3. One time when they were doing kind of, because they're trying to get you ready for the trial. Yeah. So after kind of 3, I told you before that, I was on a holding charge. Conspiracy to kidnap. And then 3 months after I'd been captured, they came to the prison and went, right, we're charging you for murder. unlawful imprisonment, and kidnapping. So these were the three, fucking serious charges, mate, And they took, because they're doing kind of reports. Is he all right? Can he plead that he's nuts? You know what I mean? Well, they have to cover their bases. So they take me to the doctor. He puts all the, the thingies on my head. And, because you're paranoid. You don't know how this stuff works. Yeah. Can you understand what I'm thinking? Oh, all this is going to do. So anyway, so he's come back. He's gone, he's saying to plead. Did an IQ test on me, come back. I was kind of quite bright, yeah. So that was my time in that place. After a while, Sean, when you don't talk to people, you kind of lose the ability to talk, yeah. So, and at first I was just kind of reading all day, reading and listening to radio. When I go out and exercise, I was going with, they were putting me out with one co-defendant, Sadiq, but not with the other one, because they thought we might beat him up because he's the one who got captured first, yeah. And so
he'd given information, I think.
So they got him, and then he kept his mouth shut for a while, and then after a while they had evidence, DNA and the fibers and stuff like that. Not DNA.
The scarf.
Yeah, the scarf. You got that one, yeah. So they had the scarf fibers, yeah. So after a while, they started telling them the story, and then that was it. But and kind of 3 months into it, I had, because even the other co-defendant Sadiq, he was like, he's a twat, he's a this, what? We're just going to be doing a long time together. There's no point, It's not like, we're not like the IRA or the fucking Palestinians who've been fighting all our lives, We're just like, we haven't been trained as, like proper terrorists or, freedom fighters or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Let's just drop it, yeah? And so I pulled one of the governors and I've gone, listen, yeah, let him out with us. There's no issue here, mate. We're all in it now. It's too fucking late now anyway, It is what it is, isn't it? So after that, they started letting him out with us. And where was I? I can't remember. It's the first time I've fucking... So anyway, we're there for that. So that was 3 months into it. So now he's coming out with us, and you kind of you kind of lose the ability to talk, yeah. So I remember one day I came out and I wanted some food, and I'm going and in my head I was saying one thing and I was opening my mouth and some kind of garbage was coming out, and I was like, mate, what's going on? So after that, I started actively thinking about this, getting up and banging on the wall to the guy next door. So we had the kids below us, the YPs, they loved it. They used to call us Gary, yeah, short for category. Gary, knocking on the ceiling there. So we started kind of having chats, and then you'd get, as I said, people from other prisons who were coming from maximum security prisons. And then, there was a couple of people. One of them was Fawzi Nijat. Fawzi was, the Iranian embassy siege?
Oh, yeah. I watched that movie. And oddly enough, when I was in London recently, I didn't realise it. We were filming with Darren G, and I parked. We parked right outside that. I got talking to the security guys, and he was like, this is it. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah.
So he was the only survivor. Yeah, Fawzi was the only survivor. So, and when you actually hear their story, it's a lot different to what, the newspapers, because they edit out and all of that. And, these guys had come from Iran, and, Saddam Hussein had got their families kind of hostage. And, that was the basic kind of outline of it. That was in 1980. So, and Fawzi, like I said, the SAS just killed him. But they thought he was one of the hostages, so they've kind of threw him out with the others. And when he's outside in the garden and with all the others, they tried to take him back in to kill him. And the hostages stopped them. No, held on to him. Stopped them from killing. Seriously, yeah. So he's telling me like this story.
Why did the hostages stop him?
Yeah, but you know what? It's humanity. Yeah, it's humanity. Yeah, they knew what it was, And maybe he wasn't one of the fucking worst one. I mean, they was there 6 odd days. You kind of get to know who's the bad. You know what I mean? So he was there. There was another guy, John Bolden, and John's kind of given me a couple of books, like Soledad Brother about this guy, George Jackson in America. And his brother was in prison, and he tried to get his brother out, these are kind of really political books, I mean, that one, The Belly of the Beast by, I think it's Henry Abbott, yeah. So, so I'm reading these and starting to realize, where my kind of place is in as far as this is concerned, you know what I mean? So,
because Norman Mailer helped get him out of prison, didn't he? Abbott.
Did he? I didn't
and then he killed a waiter and went back in. Some
people are what they are, isn't it? Yeah.
In the belly of the beast.
The belly of the beast, yeah. Which one did Norman Mailer? No, I'm thinking about...
You're thinking about the
Executioner's Song. That's the one I'm thinking
Executioner's Song, that was the big one he wrote, wasn't it? That won some prizes, I think.
Yeah. So, the other thing, so in 84... your family could bring in food, or so you could have food sent in, or your family could bring in food and cigarettes and half a bottle of wine or a couple of beers. So half a bottle of wine, a couple of beers is out of the, because you know what I mean, unfortunately.
What?
Yeah, that's up until 1986.
They could bring alcohol into the prison.
Of course they could. That was part of the thing. When you're on remand, you're unconvicted. You're.
Wow, I never knew that.
And in 1986 when they changed it, after Fresh Start, you couldn't do that anymore. So my mum, bless her soul, she used to bring like 2. Carrier bags full of food that she used to cook, yeah. And, there'd be like a biryani, a pulao, tandoori chicken, kebabs, all of that, you know what I mean?
You're making me hungry.
You know what I mean? I lovely, Mum can cook as well. So she'd bring it in, and so I'd get a visit on a Saturday. So then they'd, after a while, they know you're not getting any shit in and all of that, yeah. So then they used to give us the food, and what I'd do, I'd keep the food until Sunday, because Sunday we used to get they used to give us a salad at 3:00 in the afternoon, and then you got to wait till 8:00 the next morning, and you were starving, yeah. So what I used to do, I'd save the food, yeah, and I'd at lunchtime I'd put it in the hot plate, and the screws, they were all right, most of the time they were all right, yeah. So I'd put it in the hot plate. They'd put the hot plate on full. So by the time I got out at 3:00, I used to make a tray for myself, a tray for me 2 co-defendants, and 1 or 2 of the other prisoners, because there was bundles of food there, mate. You know what I mean? So and they used to let us do that. Yeah, you just leave it outside his door. You know what I mean? And Sean, wow. I swear, that is when you realise the power of food. You don't realise before then, yeah.
I was told early on, he who controls the food controls the prisoners.
Yeah.
I saw people just going through rubbish to find food, or someone drops them on the floor, someone else would pick it up and eat it.
When I read your account, I couldn't, I can't imagine having that kind of shite, seriously.
Red
But
death.
it is
Red
that,
death.
Red Death, mate.
Yeah.
It's just like those little, it reminds me of those little red, insects that come out on the concrete. That's what all I could imagine. If I saw that, that's what I'd be thinking. But yeah, so my mum. So when I've eaten the food, yeah, and I'd lie down on the bed, and bear in mind, I haven't had anything, I haven't had any cannabis, I haven't had any beer or anything like that. I'd lie down on the bed, yeah, and when the food kicks in, you start buzzing. Your body is humming, and you're feeling warm, and you've got that glow, and you're like, yeah, mate. And you think, that food we're getting is just nothing in it at all, you know what I mean? So... So we had that, and there were a few kind of incidents that happened while I was there. I was on the front side one time, and the kid downstairs set his cell on fire. And, you know what I mean, the fire brigade have come in, and there's thick black smokes coming into my cell. And because now, anything that's to kind of is a change from the environment you're interested in. Everybody's at the window, and we're all shouting at them, come on, hurry up, you know what I mean?
That can be extremely dangerous. I know a situation where prisoners have died from smoke inhalation.
And you know what, the next day, I swear to God, I never used to use the bucket. Yeah, I've had a wee in it a few times, but this time I had to. My stomach was going like that, and I swear to God, just black tar come out of my fucking back. Me fundament too. Seriously, you could have laid a fucking road with it, you know what I mean? I swear to God. And another time there was, this Scouser's turned up. Oh, what's his name? That was really funny. He was trying to escape from I found out later, he was trying to escape from Gartree. And Gartree, the visits room is outside the compound of the prison. So he got his mates coming down the M62, in these Land Rovers or whatever, with these chains, and he was going to put the chains around the bars and just yank them off. We could have done it as well. But obviously somebody had tipped them off. And he's walking, they've dropped him in, literally that morning, dropped him, and we're out on exercise in Winson Green. He's come out on exercise, and he's like that. He's walking around. I remember his name. He's well known in Liverpool as well. And he's going, all right there, La. He says, where am I? Oh, God, you're in Winson Green, mate. He said, I'm tripping my bollocks. So he's had some acid as well, you know what I mean? He doesn't know where he is. But, it's fucking nuts, mate. So what's happening now is we're being remanded every week. So they didn't have, the video links and all this, So we're being remanded every week. We have to go to the magistrates on a Friday, because we sent to the prison on a Friday. And so we're spending 1 day a week outside, and part of it is like, you don't want to be in the prison. Just anywhere is different, is better than this. So we've got 6 days in there. So on a Friday they take us. We've got our our civilian clothes. So they take our clothes off, put the civilian clothes on. I don't know what kind of handcuffs they had with you guys, But the ones they had here, they're like really old, They put them around. There's a kind of bar that goes in, and then they'll go around. There's a kind of a cog thing, the ratchet, And as it's going round, they try and get it as close as they can, and then turn the key, And with mine, because I look at my wrist, so they'd have to put metal inserts into the thing and then put it in, and then sometimes the skin would get caught into the thing, you bastards, So I knew once they've got you like this, then they'd take you out, and it was the old prison vans. And it was basically just like a tin fucking can, with little cells inside it, and little holes on the side for ventilation, you like that, just looking out to see what's going on in the world, because, you don't see it inside, innit? And because we were category, and even at that time I didn't know what it really meant, as we go out of the door, you've got like the Land Rover or Range Rover in front, you've got the motorcycle outriders, and, we don't stop. From the time we leave the prison to the time we get to Steelhouse Lane, it's just like, it doesn't matter what the lights are like. So the motorcycle outriders, they just zoom up ahead and stop the traffic this way and that way. And then you've got Land Rover, Range Rover, whatever, one in front, one behind. Occasionally you've got a helicopter. So we've got this fucking, it's a caravan of fucking infamy, you know what I mean? That just, like a bulldozer, you know what I mean? Just takes you all the way to the thing. And so there's the three of us, And there's the other two co-defendants, the two who got done for destroying evidence. And one of them called Majid, one of them called Jangir. And, so we didn't have a lot else to do. We just got, the police are thinking about, upping your charges. Just trying to wind them up, you know what I mean? They'd be like dead worried. They ended up one got a 2 and one got a 3, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that was a bit of comfort for us, you know what I mean? And, but, we could have had the once a month, but then you think, you know what I mean? You need a distraction. You need to go out. They're going to do it anyway, so might as well. So that was the once a week outing. Where I was, yeah. So we've got the exercise yard is on that side. You've got the prison hospital there, yeah. And there was, because every time we used to go out of the prison, there used to be a little old lady stood outside, justice for Barry Prosser, justice for Barry. What the hell's going on? And then found out that her son, Barry Prosser, was in the hospital wing of Winson Green. He died there, yeah, and and he was in, I can't remember what the cell's called, but it's like, one of those cells where you're not supposed to do any harm to yourself.
Dry cell.
Yeah, but there's another word for it. It might come to me later on. But yeah, so he's
like a suicide watch cell.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So if you're enjoying this podcast, you will love Mo's book. It is available worldwide on Amazon, and I will read you from the back. Violence, drugs, and mayhem. Welcome to the testosterone-charged world of a Cat A prisoner. Terrifying, harrowing, eye-opening, and sometimes hilarious are the stories that Mo documented on his 20-year journey through the highest security prisons in the UK. From boiling water attacks to dirty protests, from riots to suicides, Mo saw it all. After getting sentenced to life for a murder conspiracy, Mo had to adapt to living with extremely dangerous, high-profile inmates, including members of the IRA, serial killers, and London gangsters, including Charles Bronson and the Krays. In this inspirational memoir, one of the best descriptions of UK prison life, Mo expertly tells jaw-dropping stories and brings to life the eccentric characters from a hidden world. It's like what you're hearing in this podcast, but in way more detail. So check it out. Available worldwide on Amazon. Links in the description box below this video. Enjoy the podcast. When we wake up in the morning, we get out of bed and we start our day with Koro snacks. Koro is a healthy snacks brand focusing on bringing additive-free, natural ingredients to their customers with fair prices in bulk packaging. They have everything from nut butters to free-from-baking ingredients to cooking essentials and, of course, the snacks. Oh, these Syrian pumpkin seeds from Koro are amazing. I have them on my cheese on toast every morning. You've been getting into them, Jen?
Yes, and all the health benefits it brings.
Lashings of them.
Right. Pop this in the oven then.
So what makes Koro special in comparison to others? Koro cares about sustainability. Their bulk packs save on packaging material compared to small single packs. For a 5% discount on Koro's products, use the code TRUECRIME with no space in between true and crime. The link to Koro's online shop is in the description box on YouTube. Thanks for supporting our sponsor.
So he's in there, yeah, and so he's not supposed, there's nothing in there. There's no cloth that he can hang himself, and he died from a head injury, yeah. And according to, I don't know, they said that we have these big blue cups here, and he'd been like standing on the cup, and he'd dived head off it. Come on, mate, it's fucking about 3 inches, 4 inches the cup, you know what I mean? But, that's, and the screws, they kind of got off with it, you know what I mean? They all got, like, pensioned off and all of this and, opened up pubs and stuff like that, So, it was just, it was one of those things. So in that time there, so I'm kind of reading and, listening to radio and time's passing. And, it's just doing my head in. We're kind of discussing what's going to happen. What strategy can you have? You know what I mean? We've already fucking given them the whole story, so we're fucked basically. But what happens is, people they think about something and they think that is going to change the whole fucking thing, and it fucking never is.
Clinging on to any possibility of hope.
One. Yeah. So he's going to me. He says, "Oh, listen, we'll say this with me. Yeah, that when we went there, we tried to go out and we'll try to make a phone call to try and get out of there." I said, "Look, we don't know where the fucking phone box is. If they try and start asking you, where are you going to say where you went to? Where's the phone box?" And anyway, it doesn't make any fucking difference. We were there by ourselves for a whole fucking day and night. We could have gone then. And, at the end of the day, that's what it is. I said, it is what it is. So anyway, the trial comes up in January 85. And the trial lasted for 3 weeks,
What was that like?
And the trial was, it's every day you're going out there, it's cold,
There's a lot of media there because it was a big case.
Yeah, it was a big case. I mean, that was, it was like front page of all the papers and stuff like that. I don't know about the Sun and Mail and stuff like that, but all the fucking, the big papers. And what they had was, we were in Court 5 in Birmingham, and they had a kind of a balcony thing. That's where the public was. And then downstairs we're in the dark, and there's just like and there was a representative from the Indian government there as well. And the mad thing is, and Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister of India, she got assassinated. I think it was that year, in 1984, for the attack on by the Sikhs. There was a lot of shit going on in India at that time. Do you know what I mean?
She got assassinated by one of her own bodyguards, was it?
Yeah. But it was, because he was a Sikh, and they were what she'd done, because the Sikhs was going, we want our own homeland. What you're doing is bollocks. You know what I mean? And so she had this Operation Blue Star, where they thought, in their holy of holies, that they were this guy Bindranwale. She was saying that they've got guns and stuff like that there. So she sent in the army or whatever, the police or whatever, their terrorist kind of units. And that kind of put a lot of the Sikhs' noses out of fucking joint, you know what I mean? And, she still had them as her bodyguard. And he turned around and killed her. I think it was later on, October or November, something like that. So 1984 was kind of a bit of a momentous year. Margaret Thatcher just about escaped, and Indira Gandhi got it, you know what I mean? So we were going every day, and it was like, it's like watching a play. Yeah, everybody's got their own little kind of role made out, and they know what their lines are, and you realize that the police, they're just kind of, it's not what is actually the truth. They know what works. They know how to be effective. They know how what the jury is going to listen to, and they're going, I swear, you know what I mean? And then come out with a load of bollocks, and you're like, mate, you know what I mean?
It's theatre, isn't it? And they know what works, and they've got the most money to put on the biggest theatre show.
And the other thing is, they've got experience. Yeah, most of the prisoners, not most, but quite a lot of the people like me, we've never been in a trial before. We don't know how it all works. Once you've been a couple of times, it's like, the first time you do a play, you'd be probably shit, you know what I mean? And that's basically right, it is total theatre. That's what I kind of learned, And so the Indians, they had one of their own people. He was a guy in there. I was like, what the fuck's he, you know what I mean? Yeah, from the government. During that time, to say that how big that case was, that Indira Gandhi, before she got killed, she was phoning the chief of police in the West Midlands area, and asking what he was doing about it. So you had this amount of pressure coming up from this massive country as well. There was a deal for Navy Harriers that the Indians put on ice, until we were,
Because of you guys.
Because of us guys, yeah. They went, right, we'll wait and see what you do with this, you know what I mean? But we're fucked anyway, I would say anyway. To be frank. And they brought the people along the way who'd seen it, seen where the car got hired from, and as much as they could, and we were kind of like maybe holding out a little bit. I thought, you know what, because I wasn't at the scene of the killing, I didn't actually play any actual active role in it. Yeah, and the judge, when he was describing it, he said about my case here, my role, he said, look, if to the jury, when he's directing the jury, he said, well, look, it's like a cricket, if you give the analogy of a cricket team, he said the guy who's, the bowler and the batsman and the wicketkeeper, they're involved all the time. Then you've got the players who are like, in that inner circle, and then you've got the guy who's at long gone. He might not get the ball the whole match, but when it comes to him, he'll pick it up and throw it back, So basically, that's what he's saying about me.
That's what you was.
That's what I was. I was the guy at fucking long gone. So anyway, so he's...
it's conspiracy and joint enterprise, isn't it?
It was joint enterprise, yeah, totally. And what got me the conviction was taking the lock off the door. So if I hadn't have taken the lock off the door, I would have been okay. I'm not saying I would have been okay, but I would have had a chance of getting off.
Just want to remind the viewers what lock off what door.
Right. So when Masarat had come back, when we were leaving that house with the diplomat, so I was sitting in the front and they were sitting in the back. They'd brought him out. But we couldn't open the back door, and he said to me, can you take the lock off the door to get us to go out the back door? And I'd gone to the car and got a screwdriver. So basically that was the only active role I played in getting that guy to that place where he met his fucking end, you know what I mean?
Oh, to get him in there?
No, to get him out.
Oh, to
so
get
this
him
is
out.
when they were going out to shoot him. So this was that time. Well, coming in was okay, but at some point along the way, that I don't know where that key. We never went out.
So that door
I don't
was
know.
locked.
That door was locked. They must have took the key with them when they went. You know what I mean? None of us tried the door. I can't even remember what happened. And when Masarat came back on that Sunday night, he's going, because I'd opened the window. He's coming through the window, and he's going, get the door open. So that was the thing. That was the only thing that I'd done. So they said that even if I knew and I didn't do anything, I wouldn't have been guilty. But because I knew, so it's like, mens rea, actus reus, about that, the intention and the act. So they went, the fact that you knew that was your intention, so you already know, and then you took an active part, you took the lock off the door. So cheers, mate, you know what I mean? And so the jury was out, I don't know, about a couple of hours, 3-4 hours, something like that. Came back 11-1, guilty. Yeah, so, I was maybe, you don't know. But you don't know how long, you don't know what a year is, you don't know what a week is, you know what I mean? You can't think how long those sentences are. And the sentence I got was... So, when the jury's come back guilty, my mum and sister, they fucking, almost fainted. They ran out of the court,
Can you remember what the jury looked like?
Vaguely now, vaguely. There was a kind of youngish guy who I thought he was the one who's kind of giving me the not guilty. He's the one that, about the only one I focused on. They were kind of white people, pretty much all white. And the judge, when he was, Right, so what had happened was they went, we'll drop the kidnapping charge if you plead guilty to the unlawful imprisonment. Yeah, so all right, you know what, at that time, it doesn't really matter anyway, you know what I mean? So all right, so pleaded guilty to the unlawful imprisonment, pleaded not guilty to the murder because I wasn't there, didn't do it, So anyway, I got guilty for the murder, so out of the three of us, Qayyum got a life sentence and 18 for the unlawful imprisonment. I got a life sentence and 12 for the unlawful imprisonment, and Sadiq got 20 years for the kidnapping. Yeah. So, and when I think about it, 12 years for an unlawful imprisonment where a diplomat of a foreign country gets assassinated is like nothing, you know what I mean? So the other two guys, they've appealed against it. I mean, I ain't going to get any less than that anyway, you know what I mean? I'll stick with that, you know. The only one I was really keen on was the murder charge. And the judge as well, you know, when he was giving me the 12, in open court, he said, I'm giving you the 12-year sentence in the sense that you were, roped in late and you weren't a part of it as such. You know? So he believed my story, you know, and it was, you know, I mean, it was believable because of the things that had happened, you know, the people that had said what I'd said, you know. He said, in the way that you were unlucky in being brought into it at all. Those were his actual words, yeah. And so, go back to Winson Green, mate. No, sorry, we're going.
So did you say you got life plus 12 years?
I got life and 12 years.
So what was life back then? 25?
Right, so no, they don't tell you.
They don't tell you?
They don't tell you, yeah. So they can give you, right, so these are the, if they give you a minimum recommendation, yeah, this was kind of like the capital cases. This is how I understood it, yeah. The capital cases, they give you a minimum recommendation. And so, if you'd done that kind of killing where you would have got hanged in the past, that's how I understood it. I don't know what the truth of it is, yeah. So they can give you a minimum recommendation. In my case, they didn't. They just said, life, see you later. But the 12 is a kind of a guideline, yeah, to what your sentence should be. Now, let me explain how that system works, yeah, is in those days, in the early 80s, when hanging was abolished, yeah, the release of a life sentence prisoner was at the discretion of the Home Secretary, yeah. But in practice, you know, the Home Secretary just went along with what the judge said. So the judge gave you a life sentence. He made a private recommendation, was how long you should do, or an open recommendation in court, but mostly private recommendation. That went to the Lord Chief Justice. The Lord Chief Justice put his kind of two penneth in, yeah, and then sent it to the Home Secretary. And the Home Secretary, by and large, would rubber stamp that, yeah. By the time they came to the early 80s, and Margaret Thatcher and stuff like that, the Home Secretary, and this was, Leon Britton was a Home Secretary at the time, yeah. And the year before, Leon Britton, in 1983, had said at the Tory party conference, yeah, that terrorists, murderers, and certain categories of killers have got to serve a minimum of 20 years. Yeah. So when so I don't know how long I've got to serve. Yeah. So shall I just? All right. So
doesn't that mess with your head though?
Well, obviously,
because for me, facing a big sentence and then finally getting sentenced was a relief because I knew exactly when I was getting out. Yeah. So you've got this sentence now and you don't know when you're getting out.
Not at all.
So you've got that anxiety continuing.
Yeah. Well, you just had to go right. I'm probably once you kind of hit proper prison, you have to do the time as if you're never getting out anyway. You have to kind of do that.
So you're just assuming a worst case scenario in your head and everything else is gravy.
Yeah.
So, and are you thinking because of Leon Britton it might be 20?
At that time, I didn't know.
You didn't know?
At that time, I didn't know. So when I come back from the court, yeah, because I'll go into that because there was a whole heap of stuff that went on about that, yeah. When I got back from the court, I went to the cell. They called me in. So the first room on D3 was like, where you see doctors and stuff like that. We hardly ever went off the wing. And there was this little Indian doctor there, yeah. And all I could think of, he had this fucking, like little balls of hair out of his nose. When I see that, I just got a smile on my face, yeah. It just looked funny. And then he's thinking he's just got a life sentence. What's he fucking smiling at, Do you know what I mean? Different things going through different people's heads, you know what I mean? But I was, when I came down, so there was, as I said, 3 of us got the main sentences. The other 3, one got a 2, one got a 3, one got a £500 fine. The one that did the passport thing, and because he was gonna leave, he just got the fine, but he came down the stairs in the holding cell, and he had some cigars on him. Yeah, so I've got a cigar off him. I sat there and I was just like fucking, Morrissey tunes going through my head. Heaven knows I'm miserable now. And my legal team come in, and Wakefield and Krigman and Fryer, and they go, "No, you're taking this very well." So what can I fucking do? I'm fucked, mate. I've been fucked for years. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean?
Were you happy with their performance?
You know what? You don't know what to measure it against, Sean. Yeah, so you don't know have they done well? Haven't they done well? Everybody thinks that they could probably do better. I don't know. I just laugh. I thought, with what they had, they did, made the best of a fucking bad lot. I suppose if I hadn't done a statement, then we had a chance of fighting it. But it is what it is, and. So I go out on exercise the next day, and there's a guy there, Billy Armstrong. They used to call him the Wild Man of the North, IRA guy, yeah? So I say to him, he said, "Oh, how do you feel? You know what I mean? What can I say?" I said, "Well, my legal team are saying you'll do about 12 years, and boom, boom, boom." And he's gone, "Mo," he said, "you'll do at least 20 years. I went, nah, fucking they say no. He said, "Listen, you'll do at least 20 years, yeah?" So this was 1984, 85. He got done for the Old Bailey bombing back in 1972. So you know what? After that was in my head, you know what I mean? And there was another couple of guys who were on that D3 with me who were, like serious people who kind of like kept my head a little bit straight. There was a couple of guys from Coventry, John Comiskey and Roy Meads. We'd done all that time together. And John came to the next jail with us. And the one who was kind of like my biggest kind of influence, kind of like a mentor, it was a black guy, the Lionel Webb. And Lionel was, he got, back in the 60s when because he was like 10, 15 years older than me. So he was in his kind of mid-teens or whatever. And he was telling me his story. He was, and he got caught nicking a fiver or whatever it was. And the police said, put your hand up to all of these TICs taken into considerations. You must have heard of that one, yeah? So to clear up all the cases off their books and, we'll go easy on you, get probation. And he ended up getting fucking about 2-year sentence or something. So after that, he's like, right, I am just going to be a fucking hardened criminal all my life, yeah? And he was like quite a successful one, in his own way. And this guy, and so he was like, he got me into doing crosswords and stuff like that. Yeah, it'd give me like, the Sunday Times crossword book and show me how this done. So he got me onto that. We'd have some really good conversation. He was like a gentleman type, not a stupid street kid, This guy is serious. He got caught in the back of a van, with a sawn-off shotgun and a balaclava, as they were going to rob a post office van in those days. Or it might have actually been in the back of a post office van. I don't know. So all of that time, he's going like do yoga. He was proper. That was the influence he had on me, yeah. So I was like, what a fucking geezer, And then he got shipped out of Winson Green. Suddenly one day he's gone. I thought, what the fuck's happened? Nobody knows anything. Then 4 cells in Winson Green, they start putting these chicken wire outside, There's the 2 cells that are like that and 2 on the far side, And then Lionel comes back and then it's time for his trial, And then what they're doing is every day they're taking him out. Every day they're putting him in a different cell in one of those chicken wire cells, So, and the day before he's going out for the verdict and all of that, it's a Sunday, and we went out walking on exercise, and I went, "Lionel, what do you reckon?" And he's going, about 14 years more, you know what I mean? I went, fucking hell, mate, you know, good luck and all of that. And you know what? He went out and never come back. Got not guilty.
Whoa.
Yeah. But there's a twist in the tale for that, yeah, right? So when I got to Gartree, I met this guy, Johnny Forbes, who knew him from the out. And John's fucking proper decent guy. Another one, you know, John, he's another black guy, yeah, but he looks like a solicitor, you know, when he talks to him, he got proper posh voice and everything. He got done for, you know, importing cocaine, I think 10 years John got. But we used to get on really well. And one day, there was, before the time of Facebook, Crime Watch was like social media for for criminals, isn't it? So we'd be watching Crime Watch, and this thing came up about this guy. He got shot in a estate agents in Tottenham, and he had the office in front, and in the back there was this report that he had a bed, and underneath there was loads of weed, yeah. You know, bagfuls of weed, and somebody had gone in and shot this guy, and it was Lionel. He was dealing in properties in Portugal and stuff like that, yeah. So and then John mentioned that he knew him, and I went, fucking hell, you know. So then John starts telling me this story. The reason why all of that trial thing happened with Lionel was Lionel managed to get a two-way radio, yeah, in there. So, you know, obviously he had somebody, a screw or somebody, you can't get, in those days, a two-way radio was a fucking big thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, you couldn't put it up your ass, you know what I mean? So he must have had a screw or something like that on the payroll, obviously, and then they found it, so that's why they took him out, and that he nobbled the jury. That's oh, you know, I mean, he told me that they captured him in the back of a post office van with a sawn-off shotgun and a balaclava on. How'd you get off, you know what I mean? But Lionel, he was you know, what can I say? You find the people that you find, and they are the way they are. And,
so had he been shot dead?
Yeah, he'd been shot dead. Yeah. I think, you know, a lot of people who I was in prison with, a lot of them over debts and stuff like that, mostly over money. So many of them got shot dead. So many I've heard, you know, have been out and got shot dead. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was saying about the lifer thing. Yeah. So we didn't know. So you go to the next prison, and then, you know, 3 years down the line, they do your first lifer kind of review. Yeah. Every year they do your F-75 reports, and I think every year they do the reports. Every kind of 3 years they do a review or something like that. So the review was in about 87, 88, and they said, right, your first review date is going to be after 17 years. So that makes it 20 years. Yeah. So the way it works is your first review takes, if you get it, you go to an open prison. So you can add 3 years in the open prison, then you're out. Yeah. So my first review took me to 17 years, and then 20. So I'm thinking, right, but there was a case in 1987 in Europe, a Hanscom case. And because of that, they said you can't keep anybody in for longer than 17 years without reviewing them for release. So 17 years was the maximum they could give you anyway. Right? So if you'd got life sentence and they gave you a 10-year review date, yeah, you think, 10 years, if I get to an open nick in 10 years, I'm out in 13. Yeah, with me, I couldn't say that. Yeah. So I just carried on. And when I'd got to about 9.5 years, I thought, fucking hell, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So then I started kind of, you know, because I just put the sentence to one side, thought, you know what, just do some bird. You know what I mean? But just do some bird. And we'll get to that when we get to it. So what do you reckon? Should I get to the sentence, or should I just carry on my path towards the...
So you've did the first couple of years, then you jumped ahead.
Right, so...
What happened during those 3 years then?
Right, so what happens is I got convicted, yeah, and in about another month and a half, and so they're asking us, where do you want to go? Yeah. So from what I've heard, the best prison, the best dispersal that I've heard is Long Lartin's the best one. You do pretty much what you want inside. And the next one's Gartree. So I've gone, yeah, I'll have Long Lartin, yeah. So in effect, you haven't got a choice. They'll just fucking send you wherever. So, and they won't tell you where you're going either, you can't. So I put me in a van, collect your things. I had a couple of books, radio and stuff, that was it. And we end up in Gartree in Leicestershire, Market Harborough. So Gartree was one of these prisons. They built a load of prisons in the 60s, and they were tiny little cells, kind of about 7 foot by 7 foot. I mean, it was tiny, maybe 7 foot by 6 foot. It was as long as the bed, yeah.
You got a toilet in there?
No, fucking hell. I'm talking about 1985, Sean.
Slopping out?
What I mean? Slopping out, mate, you know what I mean? But the thing is, yeah, that now there's regime there. So this is a Cat B dispersal. Yeah, so we get there. It's a lovely sunny day, April the 12th, I think it was. Yeah, so I'll get there, 85, a lovely sunny day. I'm going through reception, and it's just laid back. From how it's been, like everything's like this. You can't go there. You got screws around you all the time. Yeah, you got a screw there. He's got a couple of orderlies who are doing all the work for him. He's sitting there having a cup of tea, everything's cool, and they're going, yeah, I'll have this, and I'll have that, and have this, all your toiletries and, bars of soap and shit like that, whatever they give you.
Enjoying this podcast, there's a word from our sponsor, Rocket Money. The other day, I had to cancel 3 Amazon Prime memberships. I had a personal on the UK Amazon, US Amazon, company account, US Amazon, UK Amazon. Do you understand how hard it is to cancel these bloody things? That's why Rocket Money makes these things so much easier, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and cancels what you don't want for you. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. Just like with me, with my 4 Amazon Prime memberships, you may find out you've been at least double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you've got to do is press cancel and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/Sean, SHAUN. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/Sean, SHAUN. Thank you for supporting our sponsor, Rocket Money. Links in the description box. Cheers.
So I've got my bedding and stuff, whatever it was, and mate, I'm carrying it, and I'm so unfit, and I'm walking from reception, which is outside the prison. The reception and the visits room is outside the wall of the prison, and I walk into Gartree prison, and by the time I get to D wing, which is the wing I'm on, I'm sweating, like that, mate. And I don't want to even ask him to stop because they'll think it's a fucking weakling, I'm about 22 or something like that. So, and now I'm thinking, and the mad thing was, that day, there was a lockdown in that jail. So they had a lockdown, so they were doing a cell search of the whole jail. Yeah. But I don't know this. I'm thinking it's always like this, isn't it? I don't know, do I? I go up and they lock me up. I think I had lunch already in reception. And they opened me up at tea time. I went downstairs. All the prisoners are there then. I'm like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? So
You're the fresh meat.
Fresh meat. But it's not like America, believe me. It's just totally different, you know what I mean? But I'm in my head, I'm like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? I'll go back up. And then at 6 o'clock, because tea time's about 4:30, and then they lock you up at 5 for an hour, and then they do a count. They do a count 3 times a day. Make sure everybody's in the in the prison. Yeah. At 6 o'clock, they opened the door. They've just unlocked it and went ding, 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 ding all the way down. I don't know what it's like because is it electronic in yours?
Electronic.
Yeah, with these, it's individually, so the screw actually walks down, ding, ding, ding. And I wonder if he's made a mistake here. I'm thinking he's made a mistake. What the fuck's happened? I've never had this situation where fucking somebody's opened the door and left it, you know what I mean? So after about a couple of minutes, I'm like, open the door, and looking at like this, you know. And there's a lot of people all over the place. Everybody's doing their thing, you know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit. And this scouser comes rushing into me, saying, all right, Della, all right. I'm going, hello, mate. He's going, do you smoke? Do you smoke? And I went, you know what, I had actually stopped. I'd stopped. I thought, you know what, I don't know what it's going to be like in the next jail. So I'd put Old Holborn, an ounce of Old Holborn on the side, and I put an elastic band around my wrist. Yeah, this was me, aversion therapy. You know, every time I wanted to smoke, I used to give myself a twang, you know what I mean? And it actually got me off, yeah. But then I thought, I don't want to be in a block somewhere or anything like that, and they've got this over me and I'm dying for a fag, and you know what I mean, I'm being craven, yeah, I don't want that. So I stopped, and then when I went there, I thought, oh, this is fucking nice, you know what I mean? So I went, yeah, I do smoke, you know, I thought, man, and you go, no, do you smoke? And I went, oh, yeah, and I thought he fucking gonna offer me some gear, you know what I mean, some hash or something like that. He's going, hi, my name's Eric. I'm on the short leg, yeah. Ask anybody about me. And I'm like, oh, all right. He's chipped out. This Asian guy, the Suleiman's come in. He's got like shaven head, and he looks like the part of the tash and everything. And he's just, hello, bro, you know what I mean? Got me out, took me to Mickey Ahmed, who introduced me to Charlie Bronson. And just like eased me into the thing. And then the next day was, cause that's when I found out it was lockdown. And that this place had a regime where you're out of your cell and you can work and you can go to education and, you know, you can do all those things that I hadn't done in all of that time. So the next day, Saturday, Suleiman, he takes me out and takes me to the gym, yeah? And there, the guy who's the head of the... So bear in mind now, they all know who I am. Yeah, because my case has been in the papers, it's been in the news, yeah, and they all know. So when I walked into that jail, I think, fuck me, what's going on? They all know who I am. So they're like, straight away, when he's took me there, the guy is the head of the IRA, a guy called Ronnie McCartney. He's like, because they've still got their army structure in jails, yeah. And he's, he's shaking. And Ronnie's one of these kind of guys. He's only a little bit taller than me, but he's like, you know, proper... body around him, and he's, you know, one of those, like, he's had tons of coffee and all of this, you know what I mean, with a tash and all this. And so he's shaking me by hand. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it, everything's all right, anything you want, don't be, you know what I mean, don't hesitate to ask. The next one, who's in the gym as well now, is this is the guy who, he was the defense minister of the Abu Nidal faction of the Fatah Revolution, because these are Palestinians who shot the Israeli ambassador in London 2 years previously, in 1982.
They killed him, did they?
No, that's what I'm saying. So they shot him, but he didn't die. Yeah, and so they'd got like fixed sentence. They didn't get life sentences. He got 35 years. Nawaf Rozan, his name was, you know what I mean? And eventually he got made into the defense minister. He got promoted. He come in the fucking Sunday Times, you know what I mean? Yeah, mad. So these are the people I'm meeting on me set. Can you imagine? That'd be like you meeting the head of the fucking mafia and the head of the fucking Nazi party come to you first day and going, hello, Sean, you're our mate, man, don't worry about a thing. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
So did that make you feel more at ease?
At that time, I still didn't know, because I didn't know what that meant. Yeah. It's only later on that, you know, because everybody was just like, just gave me loads of room, loads of respect, you know what I mean? I didn't know how to take it. And at first I'm like, where's all the gangsters? What happens? How come? You know what I mean? And then it's fucking nuts, you know?
Yeah.
And so and then get used to what the thingy is there, you know, how things work. So, you know, we've got these tiny little cells, but, you know, we're open, you know, like in the morning so they open us up at 8 o'clock. We have our breakfast. They lock us up for 15 minutes. They do the count, open us up again at 9 o'clock. Then you go to either education or work. And you come back at, I think, 11:30. you go on exercise or gym, and then you come back 11 o'clock, and then you come back 11:30, have your dinner, take it up, and then you can either eat in your cell or you can eat on the landing. A lot of people used to kind of put a table in between two cells and, sit on just eat with each other. Yeah, and the main thing that you find with dispersal difference is they've got officers on every landing. So you get 2 officers. So Gartree, you've got 3 landings where prisoners are, 1 through 3. So you've got 2 officers there, 2 officers there. You've got a short leg and a long leg. And on this leg, you've got showers and bits and pieces there, yeah. So I'm kind of just getting used to it, what I'm going to do. And they've sent me to 5 shop, which they used to make T-shirts for. So it's a sewing shop. Yeah, and I'd kind of like in my head already, I thought, right, you ain't getting a fucking day's work out of me. Do you know what I mean? And so I went there and
I did something similar.
Yeah, I just fucking smashed the machine about 3 times. And George, the guy was like in the shop, he went, right, he got back to the wing. So, and then what happened, the doctor, I got to know him, and he was like a really nice guy, yeah. Chris. And I got chatting to him one day, and this was like in my early days. And I went, Chris, I says, I've got this great big hooter, yeah, and I can't fucking use it. I can't breathe. It's like so, inflamed all the time. What's the matter with me, yeah? So he's gone, you've got allergic rhinitis. I've gone, what does that mean? He's gone, you're allergic to dust. I went, oh, am I, yeah? So, and he's just there, just, at the same time as I am, I can see where I'm going with this. He's gone, listen, Mo, he says, I know what you're thinking, but he said, you'll be really bored, if you just stay on the wing all the time. I've gone, listen, Chris, I just want the opportunity to have the choice, yeah, that they can't force me to go to work, yeah. He's gone, all right. He says, so he's done me, I'm excused all labour. All labour, yeah. Fucking 22 years old, you know what I mean? And so then they tried to send me to and every shop, every prison had one in those days, a mailbag. So in mailbags, yeah. So this is kind of classic prison thing, yeah. So you go in there, and I told them already, I said, listen, I'm fucking excused all labour. No, you have to go, otherwise we're going to nick you, yeah? Place you on report, you have to go to the block and all. I went, all right, fucking hell, you're going to have to make me go through this. So one of the things, yeah, one of the things you kind of, this, yeah, when you get into jail, you kind of try and find a way around everything, yeah? So I thought, how am I going to get around this? I have to kind of invent this fucking attack of dust up my nose, yeah? So there was these capsules, these kind of squidgy capsules you used to get that you could cut them and then squish them on your pillow, and like menthol, and they would help you breathe at night. Carvel, yeah. So I got a Carvel capsule, yeah. I go to the shop, the mailbag shop. I saw one mailbag for posterity just to say I've done it, yeah. I get the Carvel cap, snip the top, squish it up my nose, and suddenly my eyes on my nose like whoosh like that, yeah. I'm like, oh, man. You know what I mean? I go to and I like a whole heap of fucking tissues, yeah. And I go into their office there, fucking. I'm going, listen, I fucking told you not to do this. Look what you fucking done, you know. So they've gone, yeah, I'll go and sit by the gate, you know. They got the gate open. It's summer and fucking lovely and fresh, yeah. And as it happened, yeah, the fucking #1 governor, Richard Tilt, yeah, he was showing some worthies from the Home Office around. So he's coming through the door and he's like, Riaz, what are you doing? Give me the opportunity, you know what I mean? I went, see, I told you guys, fucking not to send me to the workshop. Look what you've done now. I've told you I've got allergy right now. And he just couldn't get away fast, you know what I mean? They just didn't bother after that. So I was on the wing for like 18 months. And then in the end, I went down. The PO on the wing was Wally Walpole, and I went down to Wally. Wally, I want to go to work. And he didn't bat an eyelid. He says, where do you want to go? Not you got to go there. I want to go to Two Shop, yeah? Two Shop's like the dustiest shop, but that's where all the gangsters are, you know what I mean? So I want to be treated like all the people who get the privileges, you know? Why? Just because I'm little and fucking, you know, Pakistani, whatever, you know what I mean? So that's how I got, you know what I mean? So after that, they never pushed me to go out to work or anything like that.
I just want to say that this is something we've never talked about on the channel is avoiding work.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to discuss on that. I'll just be brief for what I experienced.
Yeah.
So there was a point where they were recruiting people for the clipper room in the kitchen, which was washing the dishwasher. It's the worst job. It was like Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
It wasn't the food side. It was just like 200 trays come through a slot, and you got to.
yeah.
There was this big like industrial sized car washer thing that.
Yeah.
The trays went in, and it was run with this gas, and it would explode throughout the day. It was just people's hair would get set on fire. It was just mental.
Nuts.
It was mental. So nobody wanted to work in the clipper room.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, on the medical run, the medical run size doubled because half the guys going to see the doctor wanted to get a waiver, like allergies. And one guy who was on the medical run, he'd put his hands in a bucket of bleach for a long period of time to show that he's got the allergies to the cleaning chemicals in the kitchen. That's people will go out their way to avoid work, won't they?
Yeah, of course they will.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah. And you know, it's like it's the opposite of what people think. Yeah, you know, outside you think, I don't want to do a cleaning job; it's dirty. But in jails, the cleaning, when you look, it's like all the gangsters got the cleaning jobs, right? The reason why, the cleaning takes about 15, 20 minutes, and then you've got the whole day to yourself in your own environment. You don't have to leave the wing. You're not stuck in the workshop. You're not stuck in the education. Do you know what I mean? You've got that level of kind of little bit of freedom. The other thing is that, you know, in dispersals, I don't know if anybody's told you about this, about the cooking. Right, so in dispersal, they allow you to cook your own food, yeah? So you can buy, you know, meats and stuff like that from the, you know, the local shop or butchers that they go to, right? So at that time, I was still kind of like, you know, so I was with Mickey Ahmed and later on with Mr. Khan and Mr. Shah, so we were still kind of like having halal food and stuff like that, yeah? So they used to go to this shop in Leicester. So like an Asian shop, an Asian butcher's. And we'd give them a list. So they'd have this big list for the whole jail, yeah? So the canteen people, they'd go there once a week, get the thing, and then they'd keep it in the freezer in the canteen. And then we'd put a chit in the day before, and then we'd get the food out. So we had, you know, a cooker on the wing, there's 70-odd prisoners, but there's only a few of those that are actually going to use that. That, you know, you have to use your own money. So either you work, the money that you earn in the prison, that is what you can spend on food. So
what was your hourly? Because our hourlies range from 10 cents to 50 cents.
We didn't get an hourly. We got, I think it was something like about £4 a week, something like that. That was it, yeah. Towards the end, until, you know, like 20 years later, working in the kitchens was about 18 quid. But nowadays, because they've got, you know, private companies, they're getting a little bit more. You know, I think they're getting 50-odd quid, 60 quid, you know, stuff like that. But in my day, you know, most of the time I was on education or unemployed, or if I was on Two Shop, you know, we're getting about £4 a week, mate, you know. And this is where, you know, you've got the other thing going on. You know, people are selling hash in those days. That's what it was, you know. And there weren't no phone cards or anything like that. So people were buying hash off people and then paying them back through their canteen orders because, you know, then they can get the meat and, you know what I mean. And you get a food boat where, you know, 3-4 people putting together. And then, you know, you'd have a meal every night. And, you know, it took me a little while to learn how to cook. You know, my mum would come, oh, this is brilliant. Yeah. And this is, my mum, she's deadly, mate. Mm. So she's, so she got used to bringing food in Winson Green, yeah, which where it was allowed, yeah. Now, I'm in Gartree and the visits, I have to, they have to book 3 days in advance. Nobody else has to do that. Everybody else, all they need is a visiting order. They just come to the prison, show the visiting order, and see the person. But for a high-risk cat A, they book 3 days in advance. So she comes, she's like, what's going on here? Food, no food. She's made a vest, yeah, because she was a seamstress. I swear to God, she made a smuggler's vest, Sean, yeah, with like pockets like this.
Wow.
Swear to God, yeah. And then what she'd do, she'd cook this tandoori chicken, yeah, she'd put it in like crisp packet with the dip and all. I swear to God, she's mad as a hat, you know. And then cover, with the cling film. And then what had happened was my brother, he'd bring her or whoever's bringing them. So they'd come. So the visit was up in the governor's boardroom. And the boardroom, there's 2 great big long tables. And then you look out the window, the bar's on the window, obviously. But you're outside the prison, as I said, before. And so what she'd done, now she's realised how much search they're doing of her. She's an old woman, you know what I mean? So she's, and when my brother comes, he's bringing, so you could have 3 adults and as many kids as you want. So I've got nephews and nieces. So, we've got about 3 odd kids and 3 adults. And so we'd sit at one end of the table. The screw would sit at the other end right down there. And then there'd be a screw in the door looking through the whole thingy glass door, yeah. And so my brother would go down, get the crisps and bits and pieces, whatever, and we're in a tray with drinks and all of that, put them on, and my mum would go slip out like that. I just, it never occurred to me what we did with the crisp packet afterwards. Because, if they saw it, my brother must have got rid of it. And I think he must have got rid of it. Because, I think back now, I thought if the screws seen it, they didn't know. But even, I guess they probably did. They just went, fucking, it's only food, innit? You know what I mean? I weren't, in those days, weren't doing no nefarious fucking deeds on the wing anyway, you know what I mean? But she carried that on for 10 years,
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years. And you know what I said to her one time? I went, Mum, I said, I know, but, it'd be really embarrassing. If they ever caught you, it'd be really embarrassing. And I said, you should really stop. And the next time, she fucking brought kebabs up as well, chicken and kebabs. Like, mate, just leave it. You let her carry on. She carried on doing that until I was in Whitemore. And then one time she got stopped with some chewing gum because you couldn't have chewing gum in prison. Yeah, and then she was coming through and she had it in a smuggler's pocket and it set the thingy off, the foil. Yeah, it set it up. Yeah, so my mum, that's mum. Anyway, I was after about, then I was with guys who knew how to cook. So we were, always had a decent meal. And as I went further into it, it just got better and better. So and then kind of getting to know other prisoners, yeah. So now, most of the Asians there, most of the Indian or Pakistanis, call them what you like, they were kind of either they've killed a missus, yeah, or they're in for heroin, yeah. So this was like the beginning of the heroin trade thing, 84, 85, yeah, coming from, what's it called, Afghanistan.
Were they mules?
Pretty much. Most of them were mules. I've met a couple of kind of the guys towards the top. Most of them were mules. So, a lot of them can't speak English. Even the ones over here can't speak English. So, now suddenly I'm being pushed to be like the representative of the Muslims, of the Asians, you know what I mean? Or anybody who can't, and, I'm doing an unknown number of years, and I couldn't really give a toss anyway, you know what I mean? So I was kind of like allowing myself anyway, and at first I tried during Ramadan, I tried to fast, you know what I mean? But then I'd walk into a cell and everybody smoking hash and, like, mate, yeah, so that one stopped after a while. But then the food that they were giving us during Ramadan was so shit, and one time I went down and it's like, you're supposed to have fasted for about 18 hours, and there was this a kind of a tin, like a bain-marie, with, it looked like cabbage and carrot soup. And I went, mate, I just picked it up. We used to have a governor on the wing. Every wing had a governor as well in dispersal. So I went in there. I went, listen, Gov, fucking been fasting, mate, 18 hours. What's this? You know what I mean? So as a result of like me kind of like, you know, doing this, so, and you know what, one thing I realized there was, Sean, if they thought that it didn't make them go out of their way too much and it kept you quiet, they would pretty much listen to most reasonable requests, yeah? You just knew how to approach them, and most people didn't, and that was the thing, yeah? So, and in 3 years there, it went from that cabbage and carrot fucking soup, yeah, to us getting a budget, yeah, for Ramadan, a budget for Eid, yeah, our own lads to cook food for the Muslims, yeah, and then all the black lads come in, we're Muslims, Muslim diet, you know what I mean? Because in those, it didn't have, and then 3 years, then we had kind of halal meat as well, you know what I mean? So, and that was like pretty much myself, you know what I mean, that has pushed that through, that had made those changes in that time.
Are you saying that's the origins then of how a lot of the black inmates started to join the Muslim community in prison?
Over here I would, yeah.
It's through the food.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not, you see, America's got a different origin of Muslim because they've got their own, that fruit of Islam and stuff like that. The Muslims in America were a kind of a self-help group wanting to better themselves, to break out of that victim mentality and, push themselves up. You know, the black Muslims in the 60s and stuff like that. You know, so they've got a different origin to the Muslims in this country. Muslims in this country mostly come from Pakistan, India, and the black people, the kind of from the West Indies, don't have that idea of what being a Muslim, what the American type of Muslim is. You know what I mean?
Because where I was at, there was a period where the Jewish food was considered the best.
Yeah, well, no, that's why.
And then you had the Nazis convert into the Jewish religion.
No way.
Yeah,
no way.
Nazis.
That's fucking classic.
You had Aryan Brotherhood Jews, Mexican Mafia Jews, Italian Mafia Jews. Yeah,
this goes to show
for a period of time while it was considered the best.
Nuts, yeah.
Because they were getting easy conversion, and the rabbi was signing off on it, so it was he was flooded. He was flooded. Kosher food, blessed by the rabbi.
Come to convert my swastika into a Star of
That's
David.
it. They're all lined up for the Jewish food, and they got swastikas and Hitler all over them.
No, nuts in it. Because we had
it's guaranteed under the Constitution, freedom of religious expression. You can get a vegetarian diet or you get a religious diet.
Nice one,
So if you want vegetarian, it's usually got to be a religious thing. Right. So I went to Hindu.
Yeah. Is that what you done?
You
have to do this. You have to make these fucking choices. You know what I mean? I was on a vegetarian. That's what I was on. But in this country, they allow you to be on a vegetarian diet
Without any
religion stuff, yeah. So we were all on vegetarian diets because, we didn't know, obviously.
You don't know what's in the slop, do you?
You don't know, yeah. Food by and large in this person wasn't, it wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't shit either. Not like you describe it. But there was and this is what happened was, when I was kind of doing those things, there was a Jewish guy turned up on the wing, a guy called Shul Jean. And Shuli is from Israel. He was in for cocaine. And he was with an Iranian guy whose family had left Iran during the revolution. But they were kind of wealthy in Iran. But then he got in. He was going to America and fucking stopped at Heathrow to, I don't know, change planes or whatever. Anyway, they were on him, found gear in, heroin on him. And he, both of them doing 10, 12 or whatever, yeah. And what happened with Shuli, and, he was a very cultured, very learned man, Sultani, Kuros. And, I'm fucking getting to know all the people there. And he was into Sufism and stuff like that. So I'm kind of getting books and sitting down, finding out what it's all about, you know what I mean? And them two, what had happened was Shuli had protected Sultani in the other jail. Somebody had tried to attack Sultani with hot water.
Was Sultani the Jewish one?
No, Sultani was the Iranian one.
So the Jewish guy was protecting the Iranian guy.
Yeah. So then they've got, when they got shipped out of Long Lartin, they came to Gartree and they're on my wing. So I started, through Sultani, I started having it with Shuli, yeah. And Shuli, Shul Jean, he was called, from Bat Yam in Israel. And so now this is nuts, yeah, because you've got Palestinians there, you've got Iraqis there, you've got Libyans there, and they're all in for political crimes, yeah? So you've got, the Libyans are like kind of Gaddafi type, you've got Iraqis with Saddam Hussein's behind them, and then you got the Palestinians, or you got Abu Nidal and stuff like that, yeah? And you know, I'm fucking on good terms with everybody, you know what I mean? And Nawaf Roseanne, the one who shot the Israeli ambassador, he's gone to me, phones me one day, he says, brother, this is bad, yeah? I said, what's bad, Nawaf? Yeah. He says, you're sitting down, you're having food with that Jew, you know what I mean? I'm going, I know I've hated him, you know what I mean? You can imagine this guy, he's been fighting him all his life, you know what I mean? And I'm going, Nawaf, I said, look, bro, you know what I mean? He's not political anyway. I said, he's a criminal, you know what I mean? He's not in for politics. And he doesn't, I said, he's a Sephardim Jew anyway, you know what I mean? He's not a Hasidim. He said, they're getting discriminated against in Israel. He doesn't have, you know, too many good things to say about him, you know what I mean? So I had to kind of wiggle my way out, like, you know what I mean, to keep my whatever, you know what I mean? And it was true as well, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, we had a Muslim from the Balkan Peninsula that we had to like wiggle in. He was getting a hard time everywhere. The Russian guy stood up for him. Yeah. No, but you get that, you know. I find that it's good that kind of thing happens. And, you know, personally, I think the problems that people have outside, you know, it's not the same in jail. You know, I'll give you a classic one. Yeah, on my wing there was a guy. He was John Graham. Yeah, he was one of the first in one of the big trials in Northern Ireland. Yeah. On the unionist side, yeah. So he was one of the first supergrasses, yeah. John Bennett, it was, you know, you can go back in history, it comes out. So what they'd done was he'd obviously grasped against all these people, UFF, and so they'd given him another identity, sent him to this country, yeah. And so now he's running around fucking Derby, yeah, with a 357 Magnum, yeah. And this guy, you know, and because he was on our wing. Now you got the genuine IRA in prisons. You've got the ones who are Irish and have been just swept up, you know, like the Guildford 4 and the Birmingham 6. You know, they're not IRA. They just happen to be Catholics who just got fucking pulled in, and then, you know, the police just thought, well, all right, you know, we're having you, you know what I mean? And and I'm thinking, at that time, why are they not attacking him? You know, this guy, you know, and because I sat down with John, and, you know what people, you know, whatever they've done outside is they've done outside. And, you know, I used to sit down and he'd describe Sean, yeah, how he'd used to do these pub bombings in fucking Belfast, yeah, I don't know. And he'd go to a Catholic area and he'd put a bomb, whatever, and it's on a timer. And then he'd be driving a couple of miles away because he'll be able to hear it from that distance. That's how fucking, you know, loud these bombs are. And then he'd be sitting in his car waiting for the bomb to go off. And you're like, man, how many people have you fucking killed? You know what I mean? That is cold, you know what I mean? But, like, you know, none of the, you know, on my wing, we had Paddy Hill from the Birmingham 6. He was on my wing. We had a guy called Pat McLaughlin. He was with the INLA. And, you know, nobody said anything to John. And John, what had he done? Because, you know, once you're in guns and all of that, that's your fucking life. So he ended up becoming a bodyguard for a drug dealer in fucking Leicester, you know what I mean? Not Leicester, sorry, Derby.
You wouldn't want to cross that fucking drug dealer, would you? You know what I mean? You're fucking nuts, mate, you know? So, yeah. So I'm in Gartree, thinking, how am I gonna do this time? And Harry Roberts is there. And Harry had done 18, 19 years in special secure units. I think quite a lot of it in Leicester, in Leicester Welford Road, there's a special secure unit there. And one day I see him, and he recently kind of got out of them and come to like ordinary location with us. And Harry, you know, he shot 3 policemen. 1966, we're now 85, that's 19 odd years, you know what I mean? So he's done 19 years. And I seen him, he's going to the shower, yeah? And as he comes out of his cell, down that narrow landing, and then there's like where the stairs are, and there's 2 screws sat there, and then the showers are here. So he walks along there, and as he's going past the screws, yeah, he lifts as he's coming up to the screws, he lifts his towel up like that, and goes, well, hey! Goes into the shower. As he's coming out, he's walking past him again, he lifts the back up, he goes, hey! And I'm thinking, shit, if he can do 19 years and be like that, you know, I should be able to do whatever I'm going to do, yeah, he was something else. Harry was. But yeah, there'll be more of Harry later on because you know, we spent quite a lot of time while I was there. In fact, yeah, Harry used to make, so people have some kind of hobbies that they turn into kind of money-making ventures, right? So a lot of the Irish guys, they used to make leather, they used to deal with leather, make leather purses and wallets and stuff like that, yeah? And what Harry used to do, he used to make jewelry boxes. So what he'd do was make a wooden box and then veneer it, put veneer on it and polish it, French polish and all that lot. Or he started painting them. He used to do a canal boat scene. So it'd be like a canal boat, a little cottage, you know, like proper thing. So I got a couple of them, you know, 20, 25 quid. It's a nice, you know, signed by Harry, you know what I mean? Better notoriety as well. And so Harry had, you know, a bit of money on the wing and stuff like that. And then you find out everybody else is doing their little bits and pieces. There was a bookie on A wing and, you know, the first time I had a bet, I won 12.5 ounces, put a quarter on, won 12.5. Well, lucky, yeah. So at that time, my mate, Mr. Khan, who we used to kind of associate with in his cell. So what happens is, in the evening association, you kind of just go down to your mate's cell, you mates are together, we sit down, you're smoking weed or smoking hash in those days, drinking cups of tea, having a chat, and Mr. Khan's going through his racing and stuff like that. You know, he used to love a bet. And there was a friend of mine, Alan Dixon from Drumfield, and me and Alan, we got together and started a business taking bets on football. So I was working up the education at that time. And so what we used to do, we'd sit down and make a coupon for a Saturday, because not like it is now. So football was mostly on a Saturday, and then you get some cup games and stuff like that during week. And we'd get like the Sporting Life on a Saturday and a Tuesday. That'll give us the odds. And even if it didn't, we used to make the odds ourselves. So we'd have a coupon, all the teams, what the home odds, the odds for home, draw and away win. And so we'd have like, you can have 3 aways, 6 homes. And, you know, there was some made a coupon. I used to go up the education. I had the free run of the printers and stuff like that, print them all. It was around the time when I broke my leg as well. So I had something out, you know, and by that time, they used to let me go wherever I wanted in the nick. So I used to go around to all the other wings, give them the coupon, and then and get bets off them. And Harry was our banker. So you know, the amount of money and tobacco that we got, if somebody had a big win that we couldn't cover through that, yeah, Harry would bail us out, yeah. And at the end of Saturday, so what we'd do is we'd get all the stuff together. We'd go to sit down at Harry's and then go through all the bets that come in and what happened and all of this. And then Harry would tell us like his stories, you know what I mean? And so he was in the 50s, he, born during the war years or whatever. And in the 50s, he was in Malaya. 50s, yeah, I think he was about 30 when he got nicked. And so it was conscription in those, not national service. So everybody had to be in the army. So, they've sent him and they went, right, you go out into the jungle, if you find anybody, shoot them. Yeah, if they survive, question them, you know what I mean? So shoot first and ask questions later, literally, yeah. So this was what the situation was with Harry. And then when he kind of came back, he's back in society, he's a villain. The villains are villains, you know what I mean? But some of them are just a little bit more, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and the situation, I told you that story about Harry last time, I think, yeah.
What did he do?
Well, they were on their way to do a robbery, and I think they were parked in the car, and the car had dodgy number plates. And there was some policemen who'd kind of stopped and were like coming towards the car. And there were, three of them in the car, Harry and two others, Duddy and Whitty, I think. And Harry's fucking pulled out a gun, bang, shot one, shot the other, chased the other one down the street, shot him, you know what I mean?
Dead?
Dead, yeah, mate, dead, yeah. He only just got released a few years ago.
Have you spoke to him since? Got released?
No. I had a few letters off him and stuff like that when, gone through. We had the same solicitor as well. And the thing with Harry was, I was telling you about the Home Secretary getting involved in the sentencing. So when they abolished the death penalty, they didn't really know if people could survive 30 years in prison, they didn't know, innit? Because before that, you either did about 5, 6, 8 years or whatever, and or they fucking topped you, you know what I mean? So, and I think they gave Harry a 30-year sentence, yeah, which is, I think that was about the longest at that time. And then towards the end of the 80s, around the time when I'd got your first thing is going to be after 17 years, what was happening? I think they put another 5 years on his sentence or something like that. And I think by this time he'd done about 25 years or something like that. And he said that they weren't going to let him out at 30 or something. Something was going on, I remember, because we was having a chat about this. And but I didn't realise that I would be getting involved in a similar thing. Yeah, and later on, that political aspect would be coming in. At this moment, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just cracking on doing my bird as they go. As for the gym, I... After that first couple of times when I went, I'm just not built for it, I went and I tried to do weights and stuff like that a couple of times. And it just, I just found it boring. I couldn't motivate myself, yeah. So I was having it with this one guy at that time, Rob. And Rob was in the football team. So there's 4 wings, A, B, C, and D. And every wing has its own football team, and we've got a football pitch outside, which is, the exercise yard as well. And at the weekend, on Saturday, in the Saturday morning, 2 wings go out, and Sunday morning, the other 2 wings go out, on that pitch. And so I said to Rob, I said, look, get me onto the football team, yeah. But I was pretty shit. I have to say, I was pretty shit footballer. But I tried practicing. I got into it, and then I was sub, and I was more and more practice. Then I started getting games as a left back, which was like second only to being left back on the wing. You know what I mean? So, and then I went from left back to left wing, and then from left wing to right wing, and right wing to centre forward in the end. Yeah, so I got to be really good, you know what I mean? And we had some really good games. But
one of the questions we get asked is, what happens to small guys in prison?
So, yeah, I probably mostly the smallest guy everywhere I went. There were a couple of ones who were smaller than me. We're not like America here, you know. So there's a kind of a. I found in dispersals especially, yeah, because everybody's doing that long sentence, and that whole kind of, you know, how America, everybody's just like fucking a fierce animal, yeah. It did not like that. You know, everybody just kind of cracks on, you know what I mean? I met a couple of people who were kind of midgets who were even smaller than me, you know what I mean, proper. And nothing fucking bad ever happened to them. I know people, you know what I mean, like there were kind of rapes and stuff like that, but we never really heard about them, you know what I mean? I think a lot of it happens in Monster Mansion. But, you know, the people like Sykesy and stuff like that, you know, we heard all these stories, you know. And
So there's camaraderie.
yeah, very much so. You know, and even like racism doesn't really exist. You know, in that time in Gartree, that's 7 years, and I have to say, it was more like porridge than Oz, for example. Yeah, have you seen Oz? Yeah. So I mean, I remember watching Oz and thinking, wow, you know, and that was a good kind of a prison TV series for me. But for me, ours was more like porridge. And then when heroin started coming into the system in the late 80s, early 90s, then it became a little bit more vicious. In all the time that I was in Gartree, I would say I didn't see any real kind of a racist attacks or anything like that. You know, the pecking order, yeah, is you've got the IRA were at the top because it's an army, not a gang, yeah. Then you've got the gangsters, yeah. And, you know, the IRA had established that during the 70s in British prisons, you know, that they weren't going to back off and stuff like that. So the authorities had kind of backed off from them. And the whole... what used to happen before them was you'd have, you know, an influential kind of a Londoner or something, some gangster, who would be running the wing for the screws, you know, and he'd get, you know, extra privileges and stuff like that. But when the IRA came, then, you know, that was a home for all the rebels and the, you know, the ones who wouldn't back off and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, nobody could tell them to do that. They'd go to the Irish lad and they'd be, yeah, let him do what he wants, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, Blink talked about that, the armed robbers, the respect, and then the IRA guys.
But they're on, that's what I'm saying, they're just on a different level, you know what I mean? But, you know, when they went back in 96, then they all kind of changed again, you know what I mean? And you could feel that, you could feel the change in the environment, yeah.
So you never got picked on because of your size?
No. On the fucking contrary. I mean, you know, for me, I was a double cat A. There was only, out of 72 prisoners on my wing, there were maybe two double cat A's, maybe three at the most. I can't remember if Paddy was a double cat A or not. I think he probably was. So so one of the things that we used to do, the cells that we were in, because we were all up on, the cat A's were up on the 2s and the 3s, not on the ones, I don't know why, because it was all above the ground. We'd have, every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, we'd have to swap cells with another cat A. So you're not digging a hole or whatever. I suppose you could do it. It was just, for them, it was just a thing that you have to fucking do, you know what I mean? So me and Paddy, because we was on the same landing, and so we'd just swap with each other every 6, 8 weeks. They go, yeah, you got swap cells. So all the things that you got, fucking, I was going to take a whole day, all my by that time, I'd fitted fucking stuff that Sultani had paid some woodworker to make fitted cabinet. I swear to God, fitted cabinet. And then when he went, I inherited them, you know what I mean? They're probably still there in Gartree on somebody's wall. But yeah. So you know, it's a big fucking palaver to do all that. And, you know, the other thing was that, so, you know, people are smoking, you know, hash to relax. And there were people brewing hooch, you know, and, you know, you kind of pick up these skills, and, you know, they're worth a lot of fucking money and respect, you know what I mean?
What was your hooch recipe?
Right, so I picked up on the orange juice one. So it was basic orange yeast. Right, so our yeast used to come from the kitchen, so the bread wasn't raising very much coming from the kitchen. The lads used to just fucking rescue it, either get the block. If they got the block, it was worth a lot of money. Or the screws would crumble it into the bread mixture, and the flapper would be going around, they'd be going like that, yeah. So we get the yeast and water, warm water, mix it with sugar, a kilo bag of sugar, 5 liters of water, and the yeast. And that was your basic, and then everything else you're putting in, kind of for taste. We used to use what's that stuff? Not mama, what's it? Malt. Malt used to be a nice one, you know what I mean? Give it a nice little colour as well, you know, a tea kind of colour, a beery kind of colour. Or the orange one, and the orange one was strong. Yeah. But even, you know, I've made it on the out as well. My mate used to make it. I was talking to his wife. He went back to, I think he was in Belfast. And I was talking to her one day. It's Mo, can you talk to him? He's making hooch out here, you know what I mean? I said, what can you do? That's all he knows, you know what I mean? It was good, man. But yeah. So
what dramas did you see in those first 3 years? Anyone get attacked or anything?
The attacked, yeah, right. So not so much that I saw on our wing. It was pretty much carrying on. Everything was okay. Occasionally, you'd have something that's happened that's going to involve the whole jail, right? So this prisoner came to the prison, Fat Freddie Lowe. Yeah, so I don't know whether you know about him. There are documentaries about him. Yeah, when you start researching, you'll come across him. He's been in the whole unit and quite a few other places. Yeah, Freddie Lowe, we just call him Fat Freddie Lowe. It just kind of trips off the tongue in there, you know what I mean? So Fat Freddie Lowe come, and this guy, he was fucking huge, yeah. He's got a beard, yeah. And you know, he's just like looking at you. He's got these glasses on, you know what I mean? And the first time I see him in the gym. We don't know who he is, yeah. And what happens is he had robbed post office, and the post office, the lady and the man who owned it, I think he tied them up, and I think he ended up getting 2 life sentences or something like that. And then he's in his head, yeah, he's thinking, they've given me 2 life sentences, so I fucking owe them 2 bodies. Yeah. So he's on C Wing. One day he's right. So because we're allowed to cook, we can have these small little knives, you know, like kitchen knives, yeah. So they're not actually big knives, to be true. They're, you know, tiny little knives like that, yeah. So and you know, at the beginning of the evening, we take one out. They put our name down, and that's it, yeah. So he takes a knife out. He goes around looking for people. Yeah, he's got like this hit list of people that he wants to kill, who he thinks are grasses or whatever, yeah. And there was a couple of Pakistani brothers there, Chowdhury. They managed to fucking evade it. But he did actually kill this one guy. And the guy, I can't remember his name. And you know what? The guy was next to me in the canteen queue the week before, you know. And he was one of those guys who was just a little bit old, a little bit inadequate, you know what I mean? Maybe had, kind of learning difficulties, something like that, yeah. But I don't know what he was in for, Sean. I couldn't really tell you. We didn't even find out afterwards whether he was in for anything naughty or anything like that. But after he's done his rounds, he's got this guy, yeah, he stabbed him to death, he's put him under the bed, he's come back down and he's left a knife there on the thingy and he's gone, yeah, there's one under the bed. Yeah, and that was like, mate, you know what I mean?
All right, so what were the consequences for Fat Freddie Lowe for murdering him?
Nothing, was it? Well, what can they do? I think they just give him a life sentence, give him more life sentences. He's still doing the rounds. I mean, there's no consequence. Once you're inside, there's no consequences.
So when you said he already had 2 life sentences, is that 2 natural life sentences?
No. I think just a life sentence.
So he did have a possibility of getting out.
Oh, yeah.
But he's blowing that by murdering people.
Yeah, quite, I think some people, I think they just find a natural home in prison. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And they just end up, I think a bit like Charlie himself. He doesn't actually try to get out, I think that's, it's a sad thing, but maybe they're getting some kind of, I don't know, what out of it.
Institutionalized.
Yeah. So in the time that I was there, I was kind of there was a couple of Pakistani guys I was associating with, Mr. Shah and Mr. Khan. They'd come over from C Wing, had a row over there, and Mr. Shah, he was from Pakistan. Mr. Khan was from Leicester. He kind of said he knew of me from Leicester as well. And when Reggie Kray came, Reggie was in the next cell next to Mr. Khan. So we used to be in the cell next to him every evening, yeah. So when Reggie came, I'm so like, wow, Reggie Kray, this is like serious gangster, you know what I mean? He's like about in his 50s at that stage. And I'd heard about the stories, how they used to tax the, the people, like the other gangsters or, the robbers. If you rob something in their area, you have to give them a piece of the thing. And then when he's come there, the Londoners are sending him, bags of shopping and stuff like that, mate, that's all right. And Reggie's got a couple of youngish lads, kind of he's associating with, and then he's got his own little food boat going and stuff like that. And I was, so we're sitting in Mr. Khan's cell, and there was a friend of mine, Paddy and Yankee Powell. So we're all sitting in Mr. Khan's cell, and this music starts coming from Reggie's cell. And I'm going, what's going on with fruit and veg? What's going on with fruit and veg, yeah? And he's going, it's like all, classical music and really loud. And his light was all dim in his cell. And he's going, it's his birthday, yeah? And he must have been feeling a little bit sad, yeah? So Paddy's gone, shall we go and serenade him, yeah? And I went, yeah, go on. So we go in his cell and we're like, happy birthday to you. Give him that one, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, you know what I mean? Proper, tears and all of that. It was funny as fuck. And that's Christmas, because I think his birthday's in November or something like that, yeah? And I think it was the Sunday Mirror did a 2-page spread, yeah? And there was a story about Reggie in Gartree, yeah? And there's a picture of him holding some dumbbells and he's got these little blue shorts in the gym, you know what I mean? It's like that. And as we're reading the story, and he's going, and on my birthday, and I'm like, oh, mate, please don't mention our names. Please don't, you know what I mean? What will people think, you know what I mean? But he just went, 2 prisoners came in and sang happy birthday to me, you know what I mean? But it's like, we're kind of like, it's a different buzz in it, you know what I mean?
So back then, was he in big physique, powerful?
He was a decent physique, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and when he first came, because he wants to get to know all the people, yeah, who they are. And my mate at that time, Yankee Powell, Yankee was like a Golden Gloves boxer in America. and he started robberies and stuff like that, and his dad couldn't handle him. But his mum lived in Birmingham, so his dad sent him to Birmingham, and now he's seen that police don't carry arms here, so he's got even more. And then he's bang on the gear as well. He's on heroin. And then Paddy's his dealer outside. So when he's realised Paddy's here, he's gone from A wing to D wing, R wing, to get close to Paddy so they can deal with him when he gets out, you know what I mean? So when Reggie comes, Yankee's going to me, Mo, Reggie wants to meet you. I'm going, fuck off you gangsters, Mole, you know what I mean? You're going fucking chasing after Reggie this, Reggie that, you know what I mean? So we're just ribbing him. He's going, no, I've told him all about you, and he wants to meet you and all of that. And, at first I'm like, nah, fuck off, I'm not going to go down there. You gangsters, Mole. And then after a couple of days, I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? So I've gone down and he's like, a really nice gentleman. He makes me a nice cup of tea, you know what I mean? He's got a nice table there, and he's got this cell where he's got all these the photos out of his life in the 60s, you know what I mean? Sonny Liston and Barbara Windsor and Judy Garland and all that kind of thing, what his life must have been like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. Reggie, fruit and veg. Yeah. So then I was started working in Two Shop after a while, and in Two Shop there's so as I said, there was mostly the gangsters. You got Rookie Lee. Rookie was one of the ones who sent Reggie the 2 bags of shopping from B Wing. Rookie was a funny guy as well, you know what I mean? He was like another armed robber. He went, I think on his home leave, committed an armed robbery as well. He's nuts. So, Rookie was on the table with other Londoners. One of them was Sid Draper. That's where he went to the helicopter thing. And so you'd go to their table, and he'd be making a nice jug of tea, and he'd be like, do you want a cup of tea, Mo? And I said, yeah, all right. You drink that tea, and you're up for 3 days. He's put like a gram of speed in it. You're like, mate, you know what I mean? I want the other one. I want to go to sleep, you know what I mean? Yeah. Then Paddy Hill's there, Harry Roberts is there. So, and that you did the least amount of work in that shop because the machines were doing all the work, So I remember one time I was waiting at the canteen queue. And where the canteen queue was, that's where, people coming from outside the prison come in by B Wing's gate and come past the seg unit, and then that's where the canteen is, See this guy, and he's, a little bit taller than myself, not much. And he's wearing these glasses, and he's got a coat on with a big yellow square on the back. Yes, Johnny Kendall. So anyway, nondescript, you know what I mean? I think he went on A Wing, and then he went from A Wing to C Wing. Yeah, so now I'm in the same shop as Sid. Sid's done about 14 odd years at this stage. He went up to Scotland. They went to rob, I think it was a train station. I don't know what the actual situation was. But the guard ended up getting shot dead. Yeah, so I ended up getting a life sentence for it. So anyway, one day Sid comes into and Sid had a beard, a mustache and a beard, one day he's fucking clean shaven, comes in, looks over, and he's like, yeah, like that, all right, Sid, you know what I mean? And he's like, I know Sid for years. So in the afternoon, to go out on exercise, within minutes, this helicopter's turned up, done one circle of the fucking pitch, landed in the middle of the circle, the center circle, rang in the middle. And we're walking around looking at this, what's going on? And these 2 guys have run to the helicopter, tried to open one door, couldn't open it, gone to the other door, fucking gone. Next thing you know, this fucking fog, and literally, you couldn't see, a foot in front of you. A fog has come, you can't see anything. The screws have just got us, banged us up. They've just gone mad.
What was the fog? Had they dropped the smoke bomb?
No, it was just a natural fog. It just came from nowhere. Yeah, you couldn't see, literally couldn't see a foot in front of you. The screws went mad. For about 10 minutes, they didn't do anything. Then there was, like a headless chicken. They were just running here and there, here and there, here and there. And we're like, everybody's like, what the fuck? And then it's like going all around the prison. What's happened? You know what I mean? Fucking helicopter escape, you know what I mean?
Is that the first time there's been a helicopter escape in this country?
In England, yeah, definitely. I don't think there's been one since, yeah. So, and then we find out, eventually found out what the whole story about the helicopter, because it was John's escape. And John started the beginning of quite a big jail term, yeah. So I think the first sentence he got was 8, but he was expecting another 2 trials, and he was going to get consecutive. So he knew he was going to do a big chunk, yeah. So the story was that he was in the block in a jail down south, and the guy next door to him, Andy Russell, Andy said, I've heard about you. Yeah, I want to work with you. Yeah. And John says to him, if you want to work with me, you're going to have to get me out of prison, because I'm going to be doing a big fucking long chunk, mate. You know what I mean? So I ain't coming out for ages, yeah. So in the meantime, John ends up in Gartree. Andy's gone outside. Andy's hired a helicopter, yeah, with a pilot, obviously, and said he wanted to do a survey of golf courses in Leicestershire. So he's done this, found a golf course near there, got some cars, parked them there, boom. And then on the day that is supposed to happen, because he knows what time we'll be coming out on exercise and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It was like military fucking precision, you know what I mean? He's hired the helicopter again, cost about 400 quid, something like that, Sean, you know. And when he's got close to the prison, he's pulled a gun out and said to the pilot, you know what I mean, do exactly what's said. The pilot's going to listen, I will do exactly what you say, just don't do anything rash, yeah. The pilot flew that, like it's fucking, you know what I mean? I don't know any fucking great helicopter pilots, but he was the man, you know. So yeah, jump like that. And it was just, it was just, they couldn't fucking, because of the fog fucked them up. Yeah.
That was...
because it was supposed to be line of sight, yeah. So
divine intervention.
Yeah, look, but it was bad for them, because they couldn't make it to the where he'd parked the car.
Oh, it was bad for them. I thought it was protecting them from the guards.
No.
The guards can't see anything, can they?
The guards...
Which direction has it gone? that kind of thing.
No.
But it was bad for the helicopter then, because it got lost, did it?
It got lost, yeah, because they were flying by line of sight, yeah. Because of the fog, they didn't know where they were going, so he's had to kind of land in a industrial estate in Market Harborough, yeah. So now, then they've started having to hijack cars. So they've hijacked a couple of cars, and because Sid told me the story afterwards, and said he ended up in Sheffield, and from Sheffield he's found his people, and you know what I mean, managed to slip out. And John got caught about 4 weeks later, and Sid was out 14 and a half months, the father of the kid, while he was out as well, you know. Yeah.
So how did they catch? Was it the 4 weeks later? How did they catch him?
I think some must have been grassed in it. I know Sid said that he was grassed. Sid said he was grassed.
So it's a big reward out for them, was there?
I don't know if there was, but the police were fucking, they wanted
mental for him.
So you can imagine, we were all cocked. Can you imagine in that prison? The prison's like bubbling. Oh no. Everywhere there's pictures of helicopter. Every time we get a picture of a helicopter, we're going putting it on the governor's door, putting it on the So what they've done for about 2 weeks, we're just like, yeah, you know what I mean.
We locked down for a bit.
Then they fucking had to like dampen it all down, yeah. So then they locked us down for 3 days. They went round and just went everything that you had that wasn't on your prop card. They fucking took, they took fucking. Out of one guy's cell, yeah, they took 4 bin bags full of stuff that he'd just accumulated over over the years. And this guy, Bob Dufty, he was a funny character, yeah. He was palled up with this Joe the Pro, yeah. And Joe was like from a family of prostitutes in Birmingham.
Joe the Pro.
Joe the Pro, yeah. And Joe, when he'd walk down the landing, his hips would like fucking be touching both sides of the landing, you know. And Joe used to go like, at that time he was in for, I think he stabbed a punter or something like that, got 6 years. And later on, I heard he got a life sentence as well. But he's gone, he had his mum and I think about 7 or 8 sisters come from a big Catholic family that when the door used to ring, they all used to go down fucking fighting for the punter, you know what I mean? And Bob was in he was like from a well-to-do middle-class family. They had a greengrocer or something like that, you know, shop. He had this Aston Martin DB5, British Racing Green, you know, had pictures of it, lovely kids and all that. Look, got into a bit of debt, yeah, and decided that he wanted to fucking get insurance from his missus, and it's not funny. He fucking joined a gun club, yeah, about 6 weeks before he shot her. Got an insurance policy out about 6 weeks, and then about 4 weeks later joined the gun club, and then phoned the police hysterically and going, "Oh, I've been robbed. It was 2 black men," or whatever. And the police come, and he's tied himself up to the chair. And they're going, "Who phoned the police?" You know what I mean? The window has been smashed from the inside out. You know what I mean? So anyway, he's got a life sentence. And so Joe's just milking him, you know, he's got money, obviously. And, you know, we're all paying about, I don't know, about £120 for an ounce of hash. He's paying about 400. It was nuts. Yeah. And, there was, you know, you get people who are like middle class. There was another one, Graham Backhouse, another one. This was like an Agatha Christie thing that he done. And he shot his neighbour, but really it was, he lived on a farm. You know, when I met him first time, Graham Backhouse, he was, I've gone, you know, you're from middle-class background, eh? You know, you must be really hard for you doing jail. You know, he's gone, Mo, it's like fucking boarding school. You know, I've done all this. I've done all this before. He had the job of the library orderly, yeah. And what he'd done was he was trying to kill his wife, and he put a pipe bomb. But before that, he had this long campaign of anonymous poison pen letters that is to make out that somebody was after her and not him. Yeah. So then he tried the pipe bomb, and it hasn't killed her, you know, it's hurt her, but hasn't killed her. He did it with his car. And so what he's done then, he's got the farmer next door, invited him onto his farm, and then, you know, shot the farmer, yeah, then went inside and then cut himself, yeah, with a Stanley knife. There was a big cut like that down his face, one along here, one, and I mean, proper determined, you know what I mean, Sean? And, but, you know, the police, when they went forensic, they went, how come his blood is outside and yours isn't? If he's attacked you, how come your blood is inside and outside is on that geezer's? So, you know, it come on top, you know, people don't know, they think they've got it all covered, but you know what I mean? And he says to me one day, you know, I'd been there a little bit, I was getting good at the football, and I was up the education. I started doing a degree course there with the Open University. And he's gone to me one day, Graham says, Mo, he said, why didn't you start a debating society? Oh, that's a fucking good idea, you know what I mean? So, because I used to listen to Radio 4, I used to listen to the, the Oxford Union debates. And you know how they had, you know, one proposes a motion, then you got an opposer, and then... you know, so I had it all, wrote it all out.
I did one of them if the viewers are watching. It's on YouTube, put Sean Atwood Oxford Union debate.
All right, okay. All right, so we had our own one Gartree debating site. It might still be going. I'll check one day. And Yeah, I'll do that. I haven't seen your one yet. So I started that and got Ronnie McCartney, the Irish guy, who the first one who greeted me. And I got him involved. And, because prisoners naturally think it's suspicious if you're doing anything in the prison that they don't know what's going on. Yeah, so I thought, you know what, they all know I'm safe, so I need to have a few more safe people, before anybody starts thinking what's going on. So Ronnie was there. Ronnie loves talking anyway, he's 99 mile an hour. So, and we got a few other people, and there was a couple of board of visitors, ladies who, I went up to Eric Tomlinson, the first Scouser who met me in jail. He was writing to this woman outside, and she was coming up to the carol service up the chapel, and I was in one of those moods where you've got like a flu and you're kind of raving, you know what I mean? And I just wanted to talk, and he was standing by the gate, and I'm going, "Where are you going?" He's going, "I'm going up the chapel. So and so's coming. I've been writing to her and all that." I'm going, "I want to go up as well," you know what I mean? So I've gone up there, and they had like tea and biscuits afterwards. So and there was a couple of board of visitors ladies there, Judith Pitchers and Leslie Farmer, and Judith, a lovely lady, her husband was a judge, and but she became a parole board member as well, and but she was a lovely lady, and she used to come up and bring the biscuits and the chocolate hobnobs and stuff like that, and the debating society, it was such a success. And you know what, people, they don't realize that they've got this in them, that until they try it, and then once they've got once they can express themselves a little bit, and then they start getting a bit of pride in it. And for me, it was like, I was going into meetings where I was like the only prisoner there. So, you got the governor, the psychologist, the probation, the PO, the lifers, PO, and all of that. So you got all of them, and they're making these reports about you every year or whatever. And then they're kind of shoehorning you in this one chair, and you sit and you listen to their bollocks, and then you back out again, you know what I mean? So I've gone, after I thought, you know what, I need to teach myself how to kind of have confidence in talking. And, the debating society, it really gave me that. And, one of our main rules was we don't discuss prison topics. So that kind of just immediately takes you out of prison. So, it's not the food was shit today and, we want this and all of that. And that was really, really good.
Did it ever kick off in the...
Where? In the
debating society?
No. I guess if we'd had prison topics, they might have done.
Yeah.
But I think the controversial ones were like abortion was quite a controversial one. You know what I mean?
Still is.
Yeah. America, it's deadly over there, isn't it? You know what I mean? I've been seeing what's going on. But for me, that was one of the most enjoyable kind of things that I did while I was there. And around that time, that happened as well, the Strange Ways riot.
Yeah, we had Alan Lord on the podcast.
Yeah,
if you want to watch
Alan.
about the Strange Ways riot, watch the Alan Lord podcast.
Has he done one with you?
Oh, yeah, Wild Man.
Yeah.
This is when Wild Man was alive. Wild Man. There's only two people Wild Man said he's pretty dangerous in.
Yeah.
And that was Alan Lord and Shane Taylor.
I don't know Shane Taylor. No, Alan's.
Yeah.
Alan's got a story that as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? I was with Alan in Franklin.
Yeah.
Around that time, after the, I think 90. I was in Franklin twice though. I think 95 I was there. But
yeah, Alan Lord's story is amazing. If people haven't watched that, well worth a watch. Going through the back catalogue. Yeah.
I have seen one of his with, no, it might have been the one with you as it goes. It was the one with you. It was the one. But I met quite a few of the guys. But yeah, when Wolf was doing the report, and then we invited him to like a special session of the debating society, and so we made kind of our proposals about what should happen, and he sent one of his people, Gordon Lakes, up, and we had it up in the chapel, and had a proper thing, and my thing was like prisoners should be working for proper money. Well, what's the point of working for peanuts? Because then that's what I thought. If you're gonna, how is that going to make me want to go outside and work if I associate working with very, very little reward? And so the other one I did was about having like a visitor center when people come in. So I did a questionnaire for the people whose people were coming from a long way away, and extrapolated that into a report. I was doing a degree course in it, when you do these things. So and after that they did start having visitor centers and stuff like that up and down the country. I'm not taking credit for it, but you know what I mean. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. So are we ending part 2 here then, Mo? Is that what?
Yeah, ending part 2. Yeah, might as well.
What's going to come in part 3?
Right.
Because are we still in the first 3 years right now, and you've got 20?
Well, we're kind of like we're in Gartree stages at the moment. Yeah. In the next one, I think I'm going to be dealing with the sentence, how, and the starting of my campaign and stuff like that, and then we have the prison riot in Whitemore, and going to Whitemore, the newest maximum security prison in the country. I was doing a prison magazine while I was there. We got stopped after 9 issues because we supposedly libelled one of the officers. So I had to go back and change the names and stuff like that. But yeah.
And more Bronson coming in?
Well, I am not Bronson. Unless Bronson wasn't in that time. Yeah, because Bronson was in the Gartree time, and he was there for a short while. I mentioned it in that story, in that part.
Yeah. All right, so if you've not seen part 1, the link will be in the description box. And also we're going to add it to part 2, so just stay tuned if you want to keep going and watch part 1 after part 2. If you want to get Mo's book, links will be in the description box for that as well. And have people been contacting you on Facebook or Twitter or anything?
Yeah, I think I've been getting a few messages on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I've been getting friend requests on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I've had to make a Twitter. My missus's email address. So that's, I think, more Riaz. I can't remember the number of it, but I'll put it on with the. When it comes out, I'll put it on contacts with there.
So links will be down there to contact Mo if you'd like to contact Mo as well. And like I said, if you want to come on the podcast, take lessons from Mo, I just sit back and listen, and you give very long answers. I don't say something and you give a 10-second answer, because it's hard work when it's like that. All right, give us a hug, Mo.
All right, nice.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, cheers.